What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 593 of #AskGSM here today for Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Hope you guys are doing well, and before we get going here with all the questions and the live chats, a lot of stuff I want to get off from the beginning here. That sounds weird, but a lot of stuff I want to address before we get going here. I want to give a big thank you, first of all. There can only be one first. I want to give a big first thank you to Mr. John Ritland for becoming the very first channel member here on the channel, unlocking the WrestleRant All Access Pass. So, put up a video yesterday announcing the channel memberships, something I've been working on for a while now. He became the very first one. So, as a result of the membership, among many other perks, which I'll go over here in a second, you can watch the full video that I put up yesterday for more details on how to become a channel member. I mean, really, to become it, it's very simple. Just go to the description box of this video, the channel itself, click the join button. There's only one level. It's $5 a month. It unlocks a whole litany of things. So if you're interested in doing so, first of all, don't feel like you have to. Simply just subscribing and supporting the channel by chatting in, watching the videos, liking, sharing, commenting, whatever you might do is honestly enough. But if you want to go the extra level of support, that would mean the world. I would very much appreciate it. But by doing so, you unlock a whole bunch of benefits, like I said, including being shouted out at the beginning of the beginning and end of every live stream that we do. So essentially become a producer of the shows. So every Tuesday that we go live for #AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio on Thursdays, beginning of those streams and the end of those streams, you will get a shout out for being a WrestleRant All Access channel member. So big shout out to Mr. John Ritland. You can check out his channel, which I've mentioned many times before here on the show. He does great content, has done great content. He does awesome stuff. John's a fantastic guy. Real Honesty with John Ritland. Check him out on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter as well, @RebornAgain. And like I said, by signing up to become a channel member, you earn the opportunity to be shouted out on these streams. So just something to keep in mind. In addition to, and I have to pull up the list here because I kind of included a whole bunch of perks. Let's see. Like I said, just click on the join button down below to get more information on it. But on these live streams, if you become a member, you earn a loyalty badge. You get a little WrestleRant icon next to your name. So you can show everyone else in the chat or on the comments of any video that you drop a comment on that you're a channel member. You get a little WrestleRant logo next to your name. You also unlock the ability to use GIFs in the chats. There's only 4 as of right now, but there's I won't say what they are, but there's like a Dolph Ziggler one. Exactly what it is, you would have to sign up to become and see what it is exactly. But kind of going off the Love Ziggler theme, #LoveZiggler. Would love if Tyreek became a member, just because Tyreek was the one that started the Love Ziggler trend, but time will tell on that front. You earn access to our all-new Discord. John, if you're watching or watching after the fact, I'll send it to you if you're interested. Just started that the other day. So on the Discord, you can really just bullshit about whatever. I will have it open at all times. So if you want to chat with me, got a question, want to talk during the shows, during pay-per-views, Raw, Dynamite, SmackDown, whatever the fuck it might be. I'll also put channel updates there as well. I'll get back to the channel updates in a moment. That's going to be on the Discord. You can also earn early and ad-free access to videos here on the channel. So stuff like WrestleRant Ranks, which I'll get to in a little bit. That went up today, actually, instead of yesterday for a reason. But WrestleRant Ranks, interviews, WrestleRant Radio excerpts, among other content I put up here on the channel. You can earn access to that stuff first before anyone else and ad-free before they become available later in the day for everyone else. Already mentioned the promos and the shoutouts if you become a member. Also, members-only live streams. That's another thing I was kind of batting around the idea of kind of experimenting with. Of doing like watch-alongs, topic debates, just regular old streams if we really just want to have a chat about whatever the fuck. I might make them available for everyone else later on, but initially when we're live, that's the whole point of a live stream, they're going to be for members only. So consider doing that. I think we'll have a lot of fun on that front. And last thing here, I mentioned this in the description box of this very video, and I think I may have mentioned this before. If you become a member, and if you sign up, or not so, if you sign up to become a member, if you then subsequently send in a question to this show or have a topic that you want to see us discuss on WrestleRant Radio, you get top billing on those shows. So if you have a question for this show, or like I said, a topic that you want myself and Mr. Marceau to discuss on WrestleRant Radio on Thursdays, I will address it or answer it before anyone else's, regardless of when you send it in. And I'll probably put up a post on the community tab where you could send in your questions if you're a member. But you could also honestly just send it in any other way you normally would, whether it be on X or on Facebook or on YouTube, whatever. I'll probably know that you're a member and I can address it first. So like I said, if you want your question answered before anyone else is here on the streams, because a lot of people send in questions, which is awesome, but sometimes I can't get to them all until a little bit later on, and we're like 2 hours into the fucking stream before I start answering questions. So consider doing that as well. Like I said, appreciate any support that you could show the show, whether it be by becoming a member or just by subscribing, like I said, or by hitting the bell button to be notified every single time we upload a new video and every single time we go live. A couple more things here I do want to mention before we get going here with the questions in the chat, before I look at the chat to see who's here. I did see Maria and Alexis there earlier, so great to see you guys in the chat. Thank you for joining us as always. A couple things I do want to mention on the channel front while we're talking about that. As far as stuff that just went up recently, WrestleRant or Rave was an idea that I was thinking about for a while. More so in like a video form, like a live stream form, and we could still do that at some point. But I thought it would work better, at least initially, like quick takes as far as like, I have not necessarily a hot topic, because people might necessarily agree with it. Like the one that I put up yesterday on the ending of the AW Dynasty pay-per-view, which I thought was absolute fucking garbage. I did a quick short on that with my thoughts on it, why I thought it was shit and whatnot. So you get my quick reactions, my quick takes, and anything really that's going on in the wrestling world. I also do the WrestleRant React shorts as well, which is my quick reviews of shit that I just watched. Movies, wrestling stuff, whatever it might be. But that being said, though, as far as like the WrestleRant or Rave segments, just started doing those a couple days ago. Got some positive feedback on it. So if you guys like the shorts, let me know. If there's anything you want to see me discuss specifically that might be a hot topic in the world of wrestling, whether it be WWE, AEW, whatever, let me know. And we can do future installments of that show. So that got started a couple days ago. Alexis was on hashtag AskGSM last week. We had a blast. We're currently thinking about ideas for what we could do for episode 600. We talked about that here on the show last week. So if you have any other ideas for what we can do, let me know. But yeah, she was on the show last week, had a great time, so be sure to check that out when you get a chance. WrestleRant ranks went up today. Usually it goes up on Mondays, just a heads up on that front. Typically it is a Monday show, but because we announced the channel memberships yesterday and I had a WrestleRant or Rave going up, I moved WrestleRant ranks for today. Typically it is Mondays though. Thanks to those that already checked out the video and gave me some feedback. I appreciate it. I thought it came out well. This week, we're talking WrestleMania theme songs. So if you're interested in seeing what I think are the best and worst and most forgettable WrestleMania theme songs, definitely check that out. It's a 30-plus minute video. Went up this morning. So like I said, if you become a member, you can earn early access to it and ad-free before it becomes available for everyone else. I didn't make that an option for that video just because we started doing the channel memberships like today or fucking yesterday. So just something to consider. As far as what's coming up here on the channel this coming week, obviously today we're doing hashtag. We'll get into the questions in just a brief moment, I promise you. Hashtag AskGSM today. Tomorrow I should be live for hashtag GSM for GM and WWE 2K25 My GM mode. We went last week for the first episode of Season 4, had a fun time. It was like an hour-long video just because I had to do the draft and all that other sort of stuff, but the video should not be that long going forward if we just do 1 week in GM mode. So if you're interested in seeing me and wanting to kind of partake in me playing GM mode, stay tuned for that tomorrow here on the channel around 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., whatever it might be. And typically we just kind of go live and play the game. So if you're interested, check that out. On Thursday, obviously, WrestleRant Radio with myself and Mr. Marceau. You can hear us chat about all the latest in the wrestling world, including the ending of AEW Dynasty. Some more thoughts on that from me and just the AEW product in general. What happened on Raw last night and everything else. So that is on Thursday. I think there might be another WrestleRant or Rave or a WrestleRant Reacts going up one of those days, but I could be wrong. Alexis and I are seeing Minecraft actually later. That movie looks fucking awful, so I'm looking forward to seeing that later. And it did actually end up making a bunch of money. We were talking here in the show last week, like, oh, is it going to make any money? How well is it going to do financially? It ended up making a lot of money and doing very well at the box office, much to my chagrin, unfortunately. But the movie looks awful. I'm looking forward to seeing it later with Alexis. So I'll probably do a quick WrestleRant Reacts movie review to that probably tomorrow here on the channel. But like I said, WrestleRant Radio on Thursday. If you don't catch the full show, you can catch the excerpts going up here on the channel on Friday. On Saturday, I just finished Soraya's new book, Helen Boots, 9 Lives. I forget the exact title. It was very good. I did the audiobook, which is why I got through it so quickly. I had like free credits and shit. It was like on a discount, so I said, fuck it. So I checked out Soraya's new book, The Former Page from WWE. Really enjoyed it. I'll probably have a review of that book up on Saturday. And then Sunday, my Dark Side of the Ring review for the episode airing tonight on Big Van Vader. So that is all the content you can expect here on the channel coming this week. If you're not already a subscriber, please do so. You don't want to miss any of that content. And like I said in the actual membership announcement video, if you're just a regular subscriber, you're really not missing. I mean, you are missing things, but as far as like, nothing will change. Like the usual content will go up. When it does, you're not really losing anything. You just get more money, more value for your money. I don't know, more bang for your buck, I guess is the expression to use, if you become a member. So again, thank you to everyone considering it, checking it out, all the feedback. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I think that's about it before we get going here. I do want to mention this real quick as well. We are a little bit later on today. I did start airing, started going live today. A little bit later than I would have liked, just because I watched Raw late last night. And then after Raw was over, I was off of social media because I wanted to avoid spoilers for the show. I thought it was a good show overall. I enjoyed it. I saw when I went back on X, Twitter, whatever, after the show was over, that Kevin Castle passed away. Now, I don't know how many of you may be familiar with Kevin Castle. If you've been familiar with the wrestling podcast game for the last 10, 15 years, the Don Tony Kevin Castle show is a name that a lot of people will probably be familiar with and know. I started listening to their clips through TV Tracks. That's actually how I found Solomonster, was through TV Tracks, that YouTube channel that kind of congregated all these popular wrestling podcasters and put their clips in one channel. They haven't run in many years, but that's how I found Solomonster, who I still follow to this day and listen to his shit, and Don Tony and Kevin Castle. And they've always done great work. They've been around for what feels like forever. They're like the OGs of the wrestling podcast game. I think they split up for a while and then got back together, reunited, did their reunion show. And then he just passed away suddenly yesterday. So I didn't know him personally. We did follow each other on Twitter and had very minimal interaction in the last 4 or 5 years. But did see the news. Just want to send my condolences to those affected, his family, friends, fans, listeners. I was sad to hear that. I was sad to see that he had passed away. It was very sudden, apparently. I think he may have had health issues or something. But obviously, I think the vast majority of people had no idea. So I do want to send my condolences to Kevin Castle and those affected by his passing yesterday. And that's about it. If you guys want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Drop a comment I usually put up on the wall itself, that being on Monday nights. And you can also send in a question here on YouTube after this video is over, of course, by dropping a question in the comment section. I'll include your question in next week's edition. If you are joining us live, I'll get the chat now, so I apologize for neglecting you up to this point. But if you have a question for me to answer before we get going here and as we get going, be sure to drop it in the chat, and I will answer it and address it as we get going here. So thank you so much for that. So let's pull up the chat stuff here. Just give me a moment. I got to pull up the questions, pull up the chat, and everything else. All right. Alexis is here. Maria said that, or Maria's here as well. I mentioned that earlier. Fernando, what's going on, dude? Thank you for joining us. Millennial Noob also here. Thank you guys for joining us. Great to see you. Fernando said, what's good, wrestling fans? I'm doing well. I was doing well after, let's see. I don't know. Alexis, I don't know what you're talking about. I'll get to your comment in a second. Good morning, Graham. How you doing today? Millennial Noob said, I am doing well. Thanks for asking, Noob. Hope you're doing well as well. Fernando said, congratulations, John. Yeah, John Ritland on becoming the first channel member. Thank you to John for that. I appreciate it. Alexis she had also signed up for the WrestleRant Access Pass. There you go. So I guess if you sign up for an Access Pass during the live streams, everyone gets notified. So Alexis will now have I think a thing next to her name. She hasn't commented since becoming a she hasn't commented since becoming a member, so I think she gets the little WrestleRant belt next to her name now. She didn't before. She only had a wrench, so she might have a wrench and a pass. I don't know. But thank you, Alexis, obviously, for signing up for a pass. I appreciate it. Nathaniel joining us. Nathaniel, what's going on, dude? He said, I think we get Cope and Cage versus FTR for the tag titles. Nathaniel, we've talked about that before. I agree. That's definitely what's going on. Nathaniel also said, I feel bad for Swerve. I didn't like the ending to the main event yesterday. I can only feel so bad. It wasn't yesterday. It was Monday, but that main event sucked, or the main event itself was fine. I thought it was a good main event overall between Swerve and Moxley. Started out very boring, ended up becoming better down the stretch. The ending was awful, but I can only have so much sympathy, and it's not really my place to comment on what's going on between Booker T and Swerve. I will say it was probably unnecessary for him to get on the mic and say, fuck Booker T, after that show went off the air. I know what it's about. Like I know what they're going back and forth about. I'm not going to really comment on that. You could just look it up if you want to. If you want to hear their thoughts on what's going on, that old DJ Vlad thing or whatever. But the fact that he went out of his way to say fuck Booker T, which, I mean, you could say fuck a lot of people in your promos and it would probably make sense. That was probably a little too far, but that's just my own opinion. So I can only feel so sympathetic. But yeah, I thought the ending to that show on Sunday was terrible. Richie, what's going on, dude? Thank you for joining us as always. He said, oh snap, we're back. He said, sup chat, sup Graham, sup Alexis. Be sure to like and subscribe. I don't know if she hasn't already, but she will know now that you're here, Richie, and reminding her. Maria also said the video game live streams are pretty fun. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate it. We'll be going live tomorrow with hashtag GSM for GM in 2K25, 2K25 GM mode. Speaking of John, John is here. He's got the WrestleRant belt next to a name because he is the first member joining the All Access Pass. So be sure to, I think if you click on someone's name in the chat, I could be wrong. It might take you to their channel. If it doesn't, like I said earlier, John's channel is Real Honesty with John Ritland. But anyway, he had mentioned in his comment here, saw your short about the main event of Dynasty. Easily the worst ending they've had to a pay-per-view in a good while. I agree. That shit was fucking awful. I mean, that was only a 2-minute clip of me talking about it. I'll probably go into more detail on Thursday's WrestleRant Radio, or probably today. If you guys have a question about it, I'll talk about it. But it was fucking garbage. Maria said, I took my little brother, it's trash. Are you talking about the pay-per-view? Oh, Minecraft, yeah, it looks bad. Richie said, I feel neglected. I hope you're not neglected anymore, Richie, now that I'm looking at the chat. John did say, I saw Minecraft. It was horrendous, but I'm also not shocked it made a ton of money because of the built-in fan base. I also did see, the Amateur with Rami Malek, not good, and Drop, which was actually good. I don't know if I've heard of the Amateur and Drop. I've been kind of out of the movie loop lately because I haven't really gone to the movies to see anything. We saw that Queen of the Ring movie last month. That was like it. I really haven't seen a whole lot. There really hasn't been a whole lot coming out lately. We did see Black Bag because I did the interviews for that movie and we watched it. We got an advanced screening of it. It was good. Yeah, we're seeing Minecraft just to see how bad it is. I haven't been to the movies in a while. I am seeing The Accountant later this month. The Accountant 2 with Alexis. Or 2, I put up fucking 4 fingers. 2. But yeah, we're going to see Minecraft later. I can only imagine how bad it is. But thank you, John, for the chat. Great to see you here. Alexis said, hello. Richie said, hello. Alexis said, no, it's because I'm in a bad mood. Or I'm in a mod. No, it's because I'm a mod. Dang. Yeah, so Alexis doesn't get the belt next to her name because she's a mod. But because she is a member. What she can do and what John can also do, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you go to the chat option, guys, if you go to the emoji section, there might be an option to send a GIF. So there should be 4 GIF options to send in the chat. Try doing that, and then you can show people exactly what they're getting for their $5 a month, among other things. But that should be an option. I know I can send it. I don't know if you guys can send GIFs in the chat. I'm pretty sure you can, but definitely let me know. Alexis said, yeah, she loves the wrench. So I won't not make you a mod if you want the wrench next to your name, Alexis. Noob said the main event of Dynasty was a joke. Yeah, that ending was fucking awful. The Buck stuff specifically, I know, John, I know you agree. That shit was awful. That just made it that. It was already going to be bad regardless with, Alexis said no. That's odd. Maybe you have to close the chat and then reopen it. Try doing that, Alexis. See if that's an option. You should be able to, you should have the option to send, GIFs and shit. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'm sure you guys, I thought you guys would be able to send GIFs as well, but I'm not sure. It should be if you just click on the emotes tab. If I click on the emotes tab on my end, I see the GIFs, but I could be wrong. But anyway, yeah, the ending of that show is always going to be bad on Sunday, but the fact they hit the Bucks back, I mean, if John Moxley, sorry, John. If John Moxley was going to retain that championship regardless, it was going to be bad anyway. But the fact that the Bucks came back and interfered the way that they did was just fucking terrible. Just awful, man. Maria said the Vlad show is a little toxic in my opinion. I mean, I know he's a big name. I've never heard of him before this whole Booker T Swerve beef. But that's kind of what I've gotten. That's kind of the gist that I've gotten as well. John had said earlier on, Booker also has an egg on his face. Yeah, Booker also has an egg on his face for a lack of a better word after pictures of surfaced of him at Chasen Rance's wrestling school recently. Yeah, I saw that. He got a lot of blowback for that, as he should. And then I think he put out an explanation, or he addressed it, which is better than not addressing it. And he was like, oh, I don't really know. I work with so many people. There's, I can't do a background check of everyone that I work with or have in my school. I don't know, but I feel like if you search that guy's name, the first thing that comes up is the shit against him, but I could be wrong. So, yeah, that was a little sketchy, too. Nathaniel said, is Darby still the one to beat Moxley, or will it be Will Ospreay? I'm leaning towards Will Ospreay. I think Darby reportedly is leaving to climb Mount Everest, unless he's the wild card and they're just swerving us in the whole Mount Everest thing. I think he's climbing Mount Everest, like, in a couple days, like a week or something. So if that's the case, then he's not going to be back for All In. It should be Will Ospreay, but I could see a scenario where Will Ospreay loses to Moxley and the championship reign continues until like into the fall. That would be even fucking worse. But I could see them doing that. Honestly, at this point, I could totally see them doing that. I'm going Will Ospreay, but I would not be totally shocked if they want to wait until Darby is back. Yeah, Richie said, I agree, Maria. Vlad is very toxic. But he also said, but Booker's excuse for that photo makes sense, just didn't seem valid enough. Yeah, no, I agree. Maria said the Bucks' involvement made no sense. I mean, they'll probably try to make it make sense on Wednesday's Dynamite. They'll probably try to explain that they both want to take over AEW and that's why they worked with them. Who gives a shit? At this point, who the fuck cares? Who cares? Richie said the last films that I saw in theaters were Deadpool and Wolverine and Alien Romulus. I haven't been in the loop with films lately. Nothing seems original these days to entice me to go. I saw both of those as well. I know John did not like Alien Romulus. I thought that movie was great. I really enjoyed it. I love Deadpool, Wolverine. I saw both of those, and I really enjoyed both of those movies. Maria said the account too is going to be good. I have a huge crush on Ben Affleck. LOL. You know what I've noticed? I've noticed that I didn't really come across this realization. I didn't come to this realization until recently. Ben Affleck might be one of my favorite actors, and that's coming from someone that has actually not seen him as Batman. I watched Justice League, which sucked, but I did not see Batman versus Superman, or what other Batman movies was he in? I did not see him in that. I think there's another movie I haven't seen him in. But, like, I fucking love Ben Affleck in a couple different movies. The Accountant, one, obviously. I get him and Matt Damon mixed up, but I watched The Town recently. That was a Mr. Marcel recommendation. Thought he was great in that movie. Loved him in, what is it? Good Will Hunting, obviously, is one of my favorite movies of all time. There's at least another movie or two where I feel like I've seen him in. Maybe the Shoe movie, Air. I really like that movie, too, and he was in that with Matt Damon. I don't know, anything... Suicide... Was he in Suicide Squad? Ben Affleck was in Suicide Squad? Oh, yeah, for I think 2 seconds. I don't know, I feel like a lot of the movies that I've seen Ben Affleck in, I've really, really liked. He might be one of my favorite actors, I don't know. I have to look up what other shit that he's in, but I feel like a lot of the shit that I have seen him in is like among my favorite movies for whatever reason. John said, saw Black Bag, also pretty good overall, but felt more like a streaming movie. I agree with that. Queen of the Ring, he said, I didn't get invested in, mainly because of the writing. Yeah, Alexis said the same thing when we saw it. I mean, I thought it was good. She actually did not like it as much as I did, but that's not to say I loved it. I thought it was good, but it definitely could have been better. I thought Iron Claw was way better. The writing at certain points was not great. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. Richie also said, Alexis said she can't access the gifts. John, if you're still here in the chat, can you see if you have the gifts? When you go to the chat option at the bottom of the video, there should be like an emoji option where there's like a $sign to send a super chat, a plus sign, maybe that's me, I don't know. But there's also a face emoji. If you click on the face emoji, there should be GIF options. Now, that could only be on PC. I'm streaming, obviously, on a computer. So maybe it's only if you're on a PC or a laptop. I'm not sure. I don't know if it pops up if you're on a phone. I think Alexis is on her. Actually, she's probably on her phone. I don't know. It's strange. I'll have to check that out. Maybe you can't, Alexis, because you're a mod. Honestly, I might have to remove the wrench. So you're gonna have to choose between the wrench and the WrestleRant logo. Yeah, look. So John can send a GIF. He can send whatever. That's one of them. It's a Matt Hardy delete thing. It's not popping up as a GIF for me, but it is like a picture or something. It doesn't pop up in GIF form for whatever reason. That's fucking weird. But yeah, John can send it. So Alexis, it might just be because you're either a mod or you're on your phone. If John's on his phone, then that's probably not the reason. So I don't know what it is. I can post from my phone, but I don't know if it'll show up for everyone or not. No, it did. It did. Thank you, John, for doing that. So he is doing it from his phone. So Alexis, it might be because you have the wrench next to your name. Maybe they'll have to remove the wrench, and then we'll put it back after we can see if the GIFs work. The GIF is not showing up as a GIF for me in the chat, but it is Matt Hardy doing the delete. If you guys want to like the video while you're here, I would appreciate it. I forgot to say that before, but obviously that supports the video. Yeah, Richie said earlier, make sure to turn on notifications, Alexis, and the GIFs will work. It won't. Yeah, seriously. Oh, Richie said, I see GIF options. Oh, maybe you don't even have to become a member. Maybe you don't even have to be a member. Honestly, maybe I just added the fucking GIFs and anyone can do it. I don't know. That's funny. Yeah, Richie, he's on a PC. Interesting. Or maybe you have to click on the GIFs and it won't allow you to use it unless you're a member. I don't know how that works. I'm still new to this whole thing. John said, or rather Fernando, I'll get to John's in a second, but Fernando said earlier, Booker T has always been too much of a company man, and it gets him in hot water with some individuals sometimes. Yeah, it does. I mean, I think Booker T is overall a good dude. He's very much a company guy, for better or for worse. I don't really know if that was the case here with Swerve. I don't know if it's like an anti-AEW thing. Swerve also did not handle himself exceptionally well in the situation. I think the blame kind of goes both ways, but again, exactly what they're like talking about with like race and stuff, I can't really comment on that specifically, but the way they're conducting themselves could probably be better on both ends. John also said, in quotes, Darby's clowning Mount Everest soon. And John mentioned, yeah, Darby may not come back. I mean, imagine if they wanted to wait until Darby came back from clowning Mount Everest. I'm not even going to joke about the fact that he might die in Mount Everest, but it is a legit like possibility. Like that's a real fear that he may not come back. I mean, especially with such minimal fucking training, you know? Yeah, Richie said, wasn't he supposed to climb Mount Everest like 10 months ago? He was, but then he got hurt. He got hurt about a year ago, last March, I think. He was supposed to be written off, I think, to go climb Mount Everest. And then he broke his leg. I think in the ring with that match, and I think in that match with Jay White, I could be wrong. Or doing something dumb, I forgot what it was. And then because that happened, that actually delayed his expedition. So he didn't end up doing it then, but he is doing it now. Fernando said, Tony's stubbornness to pivot from this story is hurting AEW. I completely agree. Maria said, Ben Affleck was in Pearl Harbor and Armageddon. I haven't seen either of those movies. Are they good? Are they good Ben Affleck movies? Let's see. Richie said, I already mentioned that. Maria said, I already liked the video. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. Richie said, nah, I have to be a member, LOL. Okay, so that's funny. So if you go to the emoji options on the chat and you go to where it shows GIFs, it shows you that you can use a GIF, but you have to sign up to be a member, I guess, before you can use it. So that makes sense. Thank you for clearing that up, Richie. He said, I have to subscribe to the WrestleRant network, only $9.99 a month. I mean, the good news is that it's actually half the price. I set it at $5, so it's actually, probably a quarter of what people pay for Peacock and Netflix and all these other fucking streaming services. So, a lot of that stuff is more important than my shit. But if you want to support the channel, be sure to sign up. I would appreciate it. But yes, thank you for the plug, Richie. The WrestleRant network. I was thinking of like a cool name to call it. And I'm like, what can I call it? And I was thinking of, I see Disneyland shit in front of me. We have our pins from when we went to Disneyland a couple of years ago. I'm thinking, what can I call this, So I'm like, I like the idea of a fast pass, like a Disney World. And I was trying to come up with like alliteration for like, WrestleRant, WrestleRant Revolution or something dumb like that. And I'm like, you know what? I think just all access pass, it rhymes, first of all. Second of all, it sounds like a fast pass. And third of all, it's true. You get access to all the content and not just some of it. I mean, most of it you do by just simply subscribing. But if you sign up for the membership, you get all the content and a lot more benefits and a lot more perks. Daniel is here. Daniel with the salute. Daniel, what's going on, dude? Great to see you here in the chat. Hope to see you in Vegas next week. We're leaving for Vegas next Wednesday, guys. Flying out to Vegas next Wednesday. So the show next Tuesday should be normal as usual. But I'm going to pre-record #GSM for GM that day, which is on Wednesday. It's going to be pre-recorded next Wednesday and the week after that because I will be flying and traveling and whatnot. But WrestleRant Radio next Thursday. This week will be normal as usual. Next Thursday, not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet. I have to find time in the day to do a show. It might be at night. Not exactly sure what I'm doing yet. So just a heads up on that front. I probably will do a show from the hotel though. But that's not until next Thursday. Richie said, Armageddon is pure 90s cheese. It's great. It has a pretty emotional ending, too, in that amazing Aerosmith song. And John Ritland also went off of that, saying Armageddon was about as 90s as a disaster movie can get. Affleck sure overacted in it. Pearl Harbor did introduce the world to Kate Beckinsale, so that was something. I can't say I'm familiar with her either. I'm sure I've seen her. I just don't know. The name doesn't sound familiar. Yeah, Armageddon I've heard of. I've just never watched it. Maria said, heated. Is that what it says? Heated race talk sometimes goes off the rails, unfortunately. I mean, I think it wasn't just about race between Booker and Swerve. I think there was a lot more to it than just that. I think it kind of got out of hand with some of the other stuff they were talking about and whatnot. And I mean, it wasn't completely ugly, but it's kind of ugly. If Swerve's on a fucking pay-per-view saying fuck Booker T, not on pay-per-view, but like in front of a crowd, then you know it's kind of gone off the rails. Daniel said he's flying into Vegas Thursday morning. Very cool. Very cool. So I'll be there by Thursday. I'm flying in Wednesday night. Alexis and I are flying in Wednesday night. And I'm not exactly sure what my schedule looks like yet, but hopefully at some point, I'm sure our paths will cross, especially since everything is so close and on that one strip. I'll be staying on the strip. So I'm sure our paths will cross. And I'll hit you up, Daniel, too, as far as like where you're going to be. And we'll definitely plan something. Maria said, Viva Las Vegas, Viva Las Vegas. I always think of that song, Viva Las Vegas. I mean, that's a popular song, but I always think of it from, what's that movie? Back in Action, Looney Tunes Back in Action, 2004. Goldberg actually was in that movie. Because I think they go to Vegas in that movie, so they sing that song a lot, Viva Las Vegas. John Ritland said, Underworld movies, Key is most noted for those. Interesting. I haven't seen those. I haven't seen those either. Richie said, I'm banking on getting selected as the winner to a WrestleMania 41 sweepstakes. I probably won't win, but it would be pretty rad to go for free, LOL. That's fucking cool. I mean, honestly, I got to enter more sweepstakes. I feel like you say that you won't win, but you just never really know. You never really know. That would be fucking awesome to be able to go to Mania 40. I know, Richie, obviously you were at Mania 40 last year. We saw you there, and you were posting the picture yesterday. To think that was a year ago, first of all, is crazy. Second of all, what a great show. WrestleMania 41 will certainly have its work cut out for it. Daniel said Swerve in book lost the plot at some point. LOL. Yeah, no, I agree. It's just, it has been completely derailed by this point. Richie said, I've entered like 5 different contests, waiting on these final 2 to finish to see the results. I think tomorrow's the drawing date. Cool. Very nice. Yeah, let us know how you make out. That would be fucking awesome if you won. They flew you out to Vegas. I mean, last year was one thing because it was in Philly, but like, is Philly really that luxurious? Is it really that luxurious? No, it's not. But you know, I think it would be awesome to be flown out to Vegas. Vegas is it's certainly going to be a time next week during WrestleMania week and next weekend for WrestleMania weekend. Maria said she plays a vampire warrior in Underworld, a good movie, by the way. Interesting. I'll have to keep that in mind. I haven't seen the Underworld movie, so might have to add that to my list. Richie said Flintstones, Viva Rock Vegas. No, I haven't seen that. Only Looney Tunes Back in Action. I haven't seen Vegas Vacation either. I've seen the Vacation movies. Christmas Vacation, I mean, it's far and away the best one. It's not even close. Vacation itself, I think I've seen Vegas Vacation. I've seen at least one of the other ones. They're just not nearly as funny or entertaining to me. It's like Christmas Vacation, and then the rest are here. And I'm not talking Christmas Vacation 2 either. The second one where they go to like Eddie's fucking sisters or something. I don't know. That one looked dumb. I haven't even seen that. That looked awful. Ahmed is here saying, what's up, Graham? Did you just start? First of all, shout out to Ahmed. Thank you for joining us, my man. Say hello to Ahmed in the chat, everyone. We started about a half hour ago. So we didn't just start, but we haven't answered any questions yet. I'm just talking to the chat right now. We'll get to the questions in a moment. But we just did start not too long ago, so you haven't really missed much. John also said other wrestlers would respect the Looney Tunes characters and their history. You know who wouldn't do that? Bill Goldberg. Bret Hart, presumably. Yeah. Bret Hart probably did not like that movie for the sole reason that Bill Goldberg was in it. God bless Bret Hart's heart. Richie also said, I said to my wife last night around 12 a.m. that this time last year, I was still sitting in the parking lot trying to leave Philly. Yeah, tell me about it, man. You know what's funny, though? It was actually the same anniversary. That was last year, the same anniversary as WrestleMania 35. WrestleMania 35 fell on the exact same day as WrestleMania 40 Night 2. So you mentioned like, oh, well, I was still sitting in the parking lot trying to leave Philly. I will take trying to leave Philly at Mania 40 the fuck over Mania 35. I mean, that shit was just, I mention it on literally probably every stream, but that was the worst experience I've ever had, Alexis has ever had, collectively we've ever had, whatever. Leaving anything, honestly, like not even wrestling related, like any event ever, it was atrocious. I still have PTSD from that 6 years later. Just absolutely terrible. Richie said, I didn't know that until Kofi tweeted that last night. Yeah, that's actually what reminded me too, because the funny thing, everyone was talking about Mania 40 and the anniversary. Cody tweeted about it and whatever. And I was just kind of thinking about that. And then Kofi tweeted about, oh, this is also the anniversary of WrestleMania 35. And I'm like, brother, I completely forgot about that. And I was fucking there. I mean, it was a good Mania. Mania 35 was fun. But, you know, there's just Mania 40 eclipsed it. First of all, Mania 40 was sooner than that. So we kind of remember the anniversary of that show and one of the best WrestleMania main events of all time. Mania fucking 35 transcending into 2 days. And some of the shit that we got on that show, not nearly as good. So honestly, I think it's kind of understandable that we forgot the anniversary for that show. Ahmed said WrestleMania match card is looking good. I assume you mean you just said is looking, so I mean you meant good. But the build that we're getting is that we're getting there. It's better than 3 or 4 weeks ago. Oh yeah, you said good in a later chat. Yes, the Mania lineup has always been good on paper. It was more a matter of the build and improving the build. And the build has improved. I thought Raw last night was good. I thought SmackDown last week was very good. I thought SmackDown was great on Friday, honestly. I think, honestly, the biggest issue with the road to WrestleMania, and it's not their fault, it's WWE's fault, really, was the international tour. It really felt like they phoned it in for most of the international tour when they were overseas. The crowd's like singing for half the fucking show. Like during a match, it's fine, but during promos, it caused the segments to drag a lot more than they should have. So like last night's crowd in Minneapolis was very quiet for most of the show, but they ended up coming alive during the matches once they got good. It really felt like they phoned it in for most of the international tour. So I'm kind of glad they're back in the States, regardless of how quiet some of these crowds are. So we can really amp up the road to WrestleMania. And now that we're in the final stretch, it kind of feels like we're finally getting there. SmackDown next week is going to be a wash when they're in Vegas. The SmackDown before Mania is never really worth watching ever. But all eyes are on SmackDown this coming week and Raw next week. That's kind of it. After that, you're kind of at WrestleMania. Again, the SmackDown before Mania, no one really watches it anyway. We're already kind of in Vegas. We're already at Mania. We're already looking forward to Mania. That shit doesn't really make a difference. But I think what we got on Friday and what we got last night was it wasn't amazing, but like it was a much better step in the right direction as far as improving the road to WrestleMania. Richie said, I had friends that went to 35 and they said the same horror stories that you do. They say the same horror stories that you do. Yeah, it was awful. I would not want to relive that, would not want to revisit that. I mean, MetLife is actually at SummerSlam this year. This time I'll fucking drive. Driving out of there, I'm sure, was not nearly as bad. But, you know, just being there, though, was atrocious. It was just, I mean, the actual show itself was fine, but leaving the show on the train, or lack thereof, was awful. Honestly, anyone that I've ever talked to that went to 35 does have the same horror stories that I do. If you drove out, then maybe not. But if you try to take public transit, then you probably do. We were all in the mid. Well, honestly, I'm surprised you made it out. I mean, honestly, like for anyone that survived Mania 35, there should be a shirt. I survived Mania 35. That's how bad it was to leave. John Ritland said, yeah, Mania 35 was fun, in quotation marks. He said, it also lasted longer than the Book of Exodus. Yeah, it was a long show. Thank God they went to 2-night Manias after that. Richie said, hearing the Shield music live for the first time in Taker's Gong was surreal. Mania last year he's talking about. Yeah, that was great. If Vince had his way, Mania 35 would still be going on right now. It would be. I would still be there right now. I would still be stuck at MetLife Stadium. Daniel said, Tiffany Charlotte for life, LOL. Loved Friday's segment for the disaster that it was. Daniel, you and I are in the minority. I talked about that in that short that I did. And we're going to talk about Charlotte a little bit later on here in the video, as you could probably tell from the headline. Someone asked about it. And they know that I liked it, but their question wasn't about the segment itself. It was kind of about, I mean, it was about the segment, but it's not about, oh, did you like it? You guys know that I liked that segment. That segment that we got on SmackDown, It was so fucking bad, specifically on Charlotte's end, that it was good. I thought that segment was an absolute disaster, and it was in the best way possible. Not in the belt swap way. The belt swap way was just bad. That was so bad it was bad. The belt swap a couple of years ago was awkward. That made for terrible television. What we got on Friday, I liked. And it was better than anything else they'd done up to that point. Again, for better or for worse. Richie said, fuck Minneapolis for booing Bianca. Ahmed said, Richie, watch your mouth. I forgot that. I think Ahmed's from Minneapolis. He's from Minnesota. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, they should not have booed Bianca. Bianca did nothing wrong. Rhea is the one that is kind of like acting like a baby, but she's still getting cheered, which honestly might be enough to turn Bianca heel, because she's she's getting shit on for telling the truth. Daniel said the booing of Bianca is irking me. Every city that she's in, she's getting booed more and more. I mean, honestly, to me, I would turn her heel. Like, I know you would say, oh, Rhea's acting like a heel, but that's kind of why it works, because people like Rhea just anyway. So I would turn Bianca heel and tell the story of like Shawn and Jericho from 2008, where they were both baby faces. And And Jericho turned heel because Shawn would cheat in some of his matches, and Jericho didn't like that, and he was the one that went heel because he's like, you guys are cheering a cheater, and you're booing me for telling the truth. It was one of the best heel turns of all time. Grunt is here. Grunt, great to see you, dude. Richie said Bianca's right. Grunt, what's going on, my man? He said, hey, Graham and chat, good news. I got my speakers all set up. Bad news, I'm not at home, and I'm once again on my phone, so just popping in to say hi. Grunt, what's going on, dude? Like I said, great to see you here in the chat. Always a pleasure. The 2025 Royal Rumble Men's winner. Grunt, I'm glad that you got your speakers all set up. That is fantastic. Hopefully your phone is doing well. I don't want to kill your phone, so be sure not to stay too long. But the fact that you stopped in at all is awesome, so be sure to say hi to Grunt in the chat. And Micah. Micah is also here. I will address your comment in a second, Micah. Great to see you, though. Thank you for joining. Fernando said, have you been to Vegas before? Yes, twice. I was there for Double or Nothing 2019. That was kind of an on-the-whim trip with Mr. Marceau. Didn't have the best time. I joke about this with him all the time. We talked about it on the show last week. I did not have the best time for Double or Nothing 2019. I mean, the show itself was great. The overall weekend, wasn't really my vibe. I honestly had no desire to ever go back to Vegas. And then I did even more so on a whim. I booked my trip for SummerSlam 2021. It was like a media thing. Kind of a long story, but I found out last second that I could go, and WWE wanted me there. So I booked it like literally a week before the show, probably even less than a week, to go to Vegas 2021, for SummerSlam 2021, and had, unlike the first time, the best time. Had the best time in Vegas. That time I was by myself. And I'm not saying that's the reason why. No offense to Mr. Marceau. I don't know, just something was a lot different. I kind of figured my way around the strip. I got to walk around a lot, kind of explore, get some great food. Like, it's not even like where I stayed was all that luxurious, but like the fact that everything was close, and I don't know, I just loved that week. That was one of my favorite wrestling trips I've ever taken, was SummerSlam 2021. So for years now, and all the talk being, oh, Mania's going to Vegas one of these years, I was very excited for that. So when they finally announced Mania 41 for Vegas, I was fucking pumped. I was very excited. Honestly, moreover than anything else, I like the vibes there. And I'm not even a drinker or a smoker or a gambler. I don't do any of that shit. And I still love the other aspects of Vegas, a lot of its pros. As soon as I saw that, I was super pumped. And moreover than anything else, the fact that everything is closed and you really don't have to take an Uber anywhere. That, to me, is the best part about it. Micah, like I said, great to see you in the chat, my man. He said, I'm late. I've got a terrible headache. I've got a question, though. Should Randy Orton do the mystery opponent thing in WrestleMania similar to Seth Rollins? Who should it be? Hopefully your headache improves, Micah. Hopefully that gets better soon, first of all. Second of all, as far as the Orton mystery opponent, we're going to talk more about it on Thursday's show with Mr. Marceau. I don't think he should do the mystery opponent. I mean, you could, because the idea is he doesn't have a Mania match, but he laid out Nick Aldis. Honestly, I feel like the way to go is having him face Nick Aldis. Now, if you end up having him face like a returning Aleister Black or someone like that, then I feel like, yeah, you could do the mystery match. But Orton is so over that you should probably advertise him for the show. I mean, you could advertise him in a mystery match, Nick Aldis could say, hey, listen, Orton, fuck you for RKOing me. I'm going to put you in a match against a mystery wrestler, and it ends up being like Aleister Black or like a returning Rusev or something. That could totally work. That could definitely work. Honestly, personally, I would like to see him face Nick Aldis because I feel like that match makes sense. Nick Aldis obviously stays in shape, I'm sure. It's not a match that needs a 3-month build. It would have been nice if we got more of a build for it, but they already have that built-in tension from the night that that Orton RKO'd him like a year and a half ago. So, yeah, I would go Nick Aldis personally. Fernando said that Flair and Tiffany's segment was hot garbage. I mean, that was the majority opinion, so I don't blame you. Ahmed said, Graham, that ending on Dynasty was awful. Obviously, TK is deaf and not listening to his audience. Yeah, that ending sucked. That ending was fucking atrocious. That ending was so bad. And, I talked more about it in that chat, and we'll get into it on Thursday as well. John said they're letting the fans decide where Bianca will go. Having her become a tweener even will benefit her. I agree. Anything more than like the straight babyface Bianca, which is fine. But I feel like her showing more of an edge and turning her a tweener or just straight up heel, I feel like would be better, in my opinion. Richie said, side note, why was EO double cheeked up on Monday night like that? Booker T noises intensify. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Terrible. That's all I can think of when I watch LFG, by the way, is Booker T doing those dumbass noises on NXT commentary. It's fucking awful. During the women's matches specifically, it's just weird. It's just weird. But you guys can answer that question as far as what Richie said. The double cheeked up question from EO, about EO from Richie. You guys can answer that one. I honestly didn't even notice it initially. I think I skipped through the entrance because I was watching it after the fact, but I heard some people talking about it on Twitter later on. AJ said, is Charlotte's push worse than Roman's big dog run? At least Roman didn't bury talent and changed his character for the better. Her gimmick hasn't evolved a bit since she joined the main roster in 2015. It really hasn't. I mean, she's been a babyface and a heel, and that's really about it. I mean, her gimmick, to a degree, works because she's the queen. I mean, that itself sells itself. But she's channel-changing material. Like, Cena also did not really evolve his character in the 10 years that he was on top as a babyface. But at the same time, though, like, he at least cut, great promos and had some amazing matches. I'm not saying that Charlotte has not had great matches. That's not true. But Cena's mic skills are far superior to Charlotte's. It's not even fucking close. But that's a good question. Is Charlotte's push worse than Roman Reigns' big dog run? I'm going to say no, because at least Charlotte, they had the wherewithal to turn her heel. It's not like she was a babyface for 10 years. I mean, yeah, she never really evolved her character. Roman didn't evolve his character, though. He didn't. I mean, if you're talking about Tribal Chief, then yes. But if you're talking about Big Dog exclusively for like 5-6 years, he never changed his character. So no, I think Roman's was worse. But if you say Charlotte, then that's not too far off base. Just because she has been overexposed and overpushed. I mean, this woman was gone for over a year and came back and got booed. She was supposed to be a babyface. I mean, that is just next level hatred from the fans for Charlotte Flair. If that doesn't send you a message, I don't know what would. Johnny said, I hear Tony Khan planning a 6-hour Double or Nothing pay-per-view. I think Dynasty is still going on right now. I'm not watching it. I think Dynasty is still going on from Sunday night as we speak at this moment. Johnny said, you're a straight edge like CM Punk. Yes, I am. I'm not straight edge because of CM Punk. I didn't really drink or smoke anyway. But he was an inspiration to me in that respect when I was, coming through high school. And it's not like I don't drink now and I've never touched this stuff. I've never touched this stuff, never done it, don't plan to. I'm not like, hardcore straight edge. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that. I used to, but I don't really feel like that's fair to say. I feel like that's an insult to straight edge culture. But anyway, yeah, I guess you could say I'm straight edge like CM Punk. Johnny also said Orton can face Rusev. Yeah, I mean, Fernando also said Aleister Black is going to face Randy. Black or Rusev would make sense. I was going to say I would advertise it in advance, but you don't even really necessarily have to. You can do the mystery thing. People love mysteries, and if you don't know which one it's going to be exactly, Aleister Black getting a big Mania entrance would be cool. He wrestled the WrestleMania 36, technically, in like an impromptu match with, I think, Bobby Lashley or something. But that was the COVID Mania, so it wasn't really like a Mania entrance, He had a Mania match at 35 when I was there, but it was a tag team match, so he barely got his own real moment, having his own entrance. He teamed with Ricochet. And then 37 he was out for, and then he got fired after that. So yeah, he's never really had a big singles match, big singles entrance at Mania. I think he actually beat Bobby Lashley at Mania 36. That was a big win, but again, it was during COVID, so no one really cared. Mickie James should be in Nick's corner. I mean, what's the connection there? I love Mickie James, but what's the connection? I mean, there was a lot of pitches for she can be an assistant GM with him, but they just haven't done it. Daniel Malcolm said, saw someone call Mox the number one heel in the business, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing, LOL. Brother, I mean, I've seen so many egregious things, way worse than that, about the Dynasty main event since Sunday, that I cannot sit here and say that is the dumbest thing that I've heard in the last 48 hours. It's not true, obviously, but I've seen way crazier things said about AEW and Dynasty that are way more off-base than what you just said that someone else said. Johnny said, what was your match of the night from Dynasty? By the way, before we get going here, before I continue, I know I'm almost an hour and haven't answered any of the questions that people sent in previously. I will momentarily, I promise, because I don't have a ton of time here today. We do got to get going in an hour. So I'll try to go through the questions fairly quickly. But like I said earlier, more of a plug, if you want to become a channel member, first of all, if you become a channel member during the streams, I think everyone else is notified here in the chat. That's one thing. Second of all, you get a fucking belt next to your name, and you can use custom emojis. That's 3 or 2, I don't know. But also, you can have your question answered. I promise, if you send in a question ahead of time to the show and you become a member, I will literally answer it before anything else. I will answer your question in the first 5 minutes of the video, 5-10 minutes of the video, every single live stream, or WrestleRant Radio. If you have a topic that you want us to talk about on Thursdays, I will address it before anything else. And you'll get a shout out at the beginning and end of every live stream. So we have Richie, John Ritland, as a member already. And Alexis joined earlier, so they will get shout outs again at the beginning and end of the stream. Let's see. Daniels, I already mentioned Daniels. Match of the night from Dynasty. As far as match of the night from Dynasty, definitely the triple threat. I was going to say Ospreay and Kevin Knight. That opener was great. Kevin Knight is awesome. Ospreay's probably the best wrestler in the world. I mean, it's not even close. It's got to be Ospreay. Best wrestler in the world. But as far as your question, best match from the pay-per-view, definitely that triple threat. The Ricochet, Speedball, Omega triple threat was phenomenal. The overall show was not that good, but at least that was fantastic. And there were some other pretty good matches too, but that was way better. I also like Toni Storm and Megan Bayne. I thought they had a good match too. Lindsay is here. She said, I did not miss this week's live. Lindsay, always great to see you in the chat. Hope you're doing well. And Nick as well, of course, by extension. I know you missed last week's live with Alexis and I, but I'm glad to see you here this week. Hope we could see you guys soon. Richie said, the big dog Charlotte Flair. Yeah, that should be her new nickname. John said, between Io, Bianca, and Rhea during the opening segment, the gooning was out of control. There's going to be a lot of gooning at WrestleMania. I'm sure with the gear that they're going to be wearing and the attires and the entrances, there's going to be a lot of gooning for those women at WrestleMania. I can guarantee you of that. And I can't necessarily say I blame people for that either. Noob said the Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton segment is downright terrible. Seems like Charlotte will never put over other women. I've said this before, but it's not true to say that she hasn't put over other women. Has she put over as much as she probably should? No. Has she won matches that she definitely should have lost? Yes. But, I mean, she did put over Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. I mean, it was a lot later than she should have put over Rhea at WrestleMania 36. But she put over Rhea at WrestleMania 39 2 years ago. I mean, she lost to Sasha. Her big title reign in 2016 got ended by Sasha. I mean, she ultimately got the belt back from Sasha in the end, but she put over Sasha. She lost the belt to Bayley the following year. I mean, she's done a lot of losing. I think she lost to, fucking Carmella, or was it Carmella? I'm trying to think. In 2017, she lost via cash-in quite a bit to, Nikki Ash, which was awful. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you, she's put over this many people, clean this many times. I think she lost to Io a couple times when she was women's champion a few years ago. So it's not like she doesn't put over anyone. She has won more matches that she probably shouldn't have. I will agree with you on that. Fernando said, Booker T can be so cringe on commentary. That's an understatement. His commentary is just sometimes mute-worthy. I have to listen to it for the sake of just reviewing the shows and watching the shows and needing to know what's going on. But beyond that, is there an option to just mute Booker T? He's terrible. Nathaniel said, I hope Charlotte doesn't win. I mean, she probably will. Let's be honest. I think she's winning. And that was even before the whole Tiffany thing, standing up for herself on SmackDown. She's definitely, I'm going into it with the doom and gloom mindset that Charlotte will win. He also said, is WrestleMania next week? Yes, it is next weekend. And he also said, how would you feel if Rock cost Cody the title? I'd be fine with it. I think Cena's got to win, honestly, regardless of how it happens. The finish may not be great, like as far as how it's executed. As long as Cody loses to Cena, I'm really kind of content. It may not be amazing, but anything but Cena winning the belt, I think would be stupid. Johnny said, yeah, I didn't know Dynasty's still going on. It is. Go check the AEW pay-per-view stream. It's definitely still going on as we speak. Richie said, Jon Moxley is pacing around the ring as we speak. Yeah, I agree. He definitely is. Realistically, does beating Bobby Lashley actually do anything for anyone, though? Oh, that's not fair to say. I mean, it depends what we're talking about. Beating him now, yes, because Bobby's been protected he hasn't lost in AEW, first of all. At that point in 2020, when Aleister Black beat Bobby, it didn't really mean much, because Bobby was feuding with fucking Rusev, and I like Rusev, but that whole feud over Lana, don't even get me started. That shit was so bad. That shit was so fucking bad. Bobby was a beaten down man. Honestly, I'm shocked he didn't leave before that, but they finally rehabbed him with MVP. Since he joined MVP, beating Bobby has meant something. Prior to that, probably not. At least in WWE. And TNA, it meant something too, because he was very protected in TNA. Fernando said, WWE should have known better to expect Flair to get cheered as a babyface. It was very tone deaf. Honestly, I can't say I blame them. She was gone. The expression is an expression for a reason. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So, yeah, she's a great heel. People don't love Charlotte, but she was gone for so long, you would expect a big reaction. People weren't happy. I probably would have thought the same thing. At least they thought well enough to know to turn her heel immediately and embrace the booze and turn Charlotte face, or Tiffany face, which was the better call because she's more organically over of the two as a babyface. But I can't say I blame them, because I'm thinking, oh yeah, she would never be a great babyface. She's just not a great face. But she was gone for so long. Surely people missed her. Apparently not. They immediately booed her. Johnny said she just has that natural swagger about her too that just makes her a heel, honestly. Johnny said, I thought with more pay-per-views, AEW would do 6 matches or less. Nope. You would be wrong. First of all, I got told to fuck off on Twitter for saying that AEW should have their... I asked a genuine criticism question, not even like me shitting on the ending of the pay-per-view, which a lot of people agree was fucking trash. If AEW fanboys, the AEW marks, get mad about that, I don't really care. But legitimately, I got a few people that were upset with me for asking a genuine question about why are AEW's pay-per-views so long? Like, I didn't even say fuck this company, and I even said in the tweet the pay-per-views are usually great, but there is no reason for them to be 4 or 5 hours long. 5 hours if you include the pre-show. None. There's no reason for them to be as long as they are when the shows are... They're great, but the big reason as to why the 4 hours I was okay with was because they were doing 4 pay-per-views a year. I had an issue with the 4-hour pay-per-views a few years ago, but they were only doing 4 or 5 shows a year. Now they're doing them monthly. They have Dynasty, they have Forbidden Door, they have Wrestle Dream, and all this other shit. Like, they have pay-per-views all the fucking time now. In addition, having 4 hours of TV between Collision and Dynamite, they don't need a 4-hour pay-per-view. The pacing especially sucks. Like, if the pacing was better, I might have less of an issue with that. But you have Cole and Garcia out there wrestling to goddamn crickets because your pacing sucks. That is when you know there's a problem. But the AEW fanboys don't want to hear that. Or fangirls, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Oh, more wrestling is a good thing. Like, it's fucking not. Like, not everything in more wrestling is better. And I'm not even saying WWE's format is necessarily the strongest either with their pay-per-views. I prefer it personally. But, like... That's one of those things with the WWE pay-per-views. I like less is more. I'm not saying they need to have 4 matches. Like, that's kind of stupid. But, like, they waste a lot of time on video packages and entrances. Don't love that. But honestly, I would take that over AEW going boom, 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 as far as the matches and shoving 12 matches on the show, matches that don't really belong on pay-per-view. Like, fucking good match, but Kyle Fletcher, Mark Briscoe, what was the point? Why was that on the show? Just do that on TV. It was a quarterfinal match in the tournament. Who gives a shit? Put it on TV. It made no sense. The pacing sucks, but again, if you're a diehard AEW fan, you don't want to hear that. I mean, diehard WWE fans are the same way, but It's scary that people actually like it's not even like you shit on the company and they shit on you back. Like, that would be one thing. If the shitting on the company is justified, then maybe not. But like, legitimately, you can offer the slightest bit of criticism on a company. I did the same thing with WWE and got so much blowback because I said I didn't really love the fact that Triple H said it wasn't babyface and heel. I think it was babyface and heel. He used like those terms on TV or something like that, or in a promo. I think Cena did. I didn't love it. People shit on me for that. Like, you people, not you people. I sound like John Cena when he turned heel. Certain people just can't handle it. Like, these aren't even people that like follow me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not people that we're gonna have a constructive criticism or conversation about. It's people saying, "Oh, fuck you because your opinion's shit. How dare you boo Triple H? How dare you shit on Triple H in his booking? How dare you shit on Tony Khan in his booking?" Brother, they're not gonna fuck you, so you might as well just get over it. Anyway, off my soapbox. Back to the comments here. Fernando said Mike Bailey was the MVP of the triple threat. I thought the whole triple threat was great. I thought they were all great. But yeah, Mike Bailey's off to a pretty good start in AEW, though. I will say that. The fact that he did not get pinned and he was protected, hopefully is a sign that they intend to keep pushing him going forward. Alexis said, Graham, I need you to bring up what we discussed the other day with the women not being up to par on the mic as opposed to the men. I will not bring that up here because it's a whole conversation. I was planning on bringing it up on WrestleRant Radio this week. And because it kind of ties into what we saw on Raw last night and on SmackDown last week. It's a good topic. Alexis and I were kind of talking about, I'll mention this quickly, but we'll talk about it on Thursday, how the women's promos, for whatever reason, are just usually not as good as the men's. And I don't know if it's the women themselves or what they're teaching or not teaching in the PC or the lack of women's writers. I feel like that's a big part of it. I mean, the women's promos in AEW aren't that bad, so it's largely a WWE problem. It was a lot worse a few years ago, but even now it's not a whole lot better. We'll talk about it on Thursday. John said, got to bounce and take care of some other things before work. Keep up the great work, Graham, and have a blast at WrestleMania. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. And again, shout out to John. I'll shout him out at the end as well for being a channel member. If you become a channel member, you'll get shouted out at the beginning and end of every live stream. And I can promote anything you want me to promote. If it's appropriate, which hopefully it usually probably is, I can plug your channel. And so thank you, John, for becoming the first all-access Plan Pass member here on the channel. I appreciate you. Check out his content as well. Real Honesty with John Ritland. Richie said, man or woman, no one can hold the candle to Ava Raine on the mic. He might be right about that. Ava Raine she's just in a level all of her own. She's just that good. Fernando said, Megan Bayne proved that she belonged with Timeless. I thought Megan Bayne had a good showing. I agree. She did well. Johnny said Jim Ross or Joey Styles. Jim Ross. I mean, not even a question. Joey Styles I didn't not like, but Jim Ross or Joey, I mean, it's even Jim Ross of today I would take over Joey Styles. Emmanuel, what's going on, man? He said, hello. Emmanuel, hope you're doing well, dude. Thank you for joining us. Great to see you in the chat. Dillon is here as well. Dillon, thanks for joining. He said, Charlotte is so insufferable, like her promo skills suck. She's mid in the ring and, in my opinion, lacks talent compared to the other women's wrestlers. Tiffany cooked her for the fans' sake. Who do you think is behind? Dillon's a real person, but I was going to make a joke. Who do you think sent in that super chat? Which one of Charlotte's ex-husbands sent in that chat from Dillon? I kid, but I do agree with most of what you said there. Tiffany definitely did get the better of her in that segment on Friday, and good. Stand up for yourself, Tiffany. I liked that. I enjoyed that. Richie said, I will say I'm happy Charlotte caught more heat for that segment than Tiffany. Yeah, Charlotte was just fucking, squeaky. Oh, my God. I almost fucking blew my brains out. That is so insufferable. It is so insufferable. Alexis said, hi, Dillon, become a member. I agree. Richie said the 0-3 in divorces and rollout was top tier by Stratton. Yeah, that was fucking funny. Wasn't planned, didn't seem like, but it was fucking funny. Nathaniel said, I think we'll get Rock versus Cody at Mania 42. Do you agree? Are we getting Rock and Roman at Mania 50 at this point? I mean, I don't know. Rock even said about Cody, shit does not have to, or you said about Cody, not everything has to result in a match, which was still one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I would say Rock and Roman next year. We should have gotten it 10 years ago, but just get it over with so we could just move on, you know. Alexis said more like at Mania 100. Yeah, exactly. At this point, more like at Mania 100. Daniel said, seen Mania prices going down on TickPick. Is that a website, TickPick? I've never heard of that. to comparable to what I paid last year, but I still don't know if I'm going to buy LOL. Daniel, if you're going to if you're going to Vegas anyway, just wait. You know, you got to play the game, and I'm sure you know this. You got to play the game of if you're already there, and it's not a matter of buying your, flight and hotel and shit. Wait until the fucking day of. Wait until the night before. See how low they're gonna go. We're only still over a week out. If you're just gonna be there anyway, and you're just waiting outside of the arena to see if you're gonna go or not, fucking wait. And just buy it as it gets closer. Nathaniel said, hope we can have Cope and Cage beat the Hurt Syndicate for the tag titles eventually, or FTR can. Yeah, I could see that. Emmanuel said, was Charlotte not cheered to the Rumble? I genuinely don't remember. She wasn't really. I was there. She threw out Roxanne and some heels, so they kind of cheered that. I mean, she got a positive reaction because it's Charlotte, but overall, it's not like people were going crazy when they were happy when she won the Rumble. Most people, from what I can remember being there in person, people were not happy. Daniel said, saw that person that told you to F off, LOL. Yeah, I don't... It's just funny. Like I say, I don't know, just people get so upset. It's anything. You make the slightest, it's not even just AEW, it's WWE too. You make the slightest criticism about anything and people just can't handle it. And I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck did you even see this comment? You know what I mean? Like, and it's a I don't know what a take and give or whatever the fuck you would call it. It's got pros and cons. Because if a tweet like blows up, it's not like I got thousands of retweets or anything. I really didn't. It didn't really blow up all that much. But the more people like agree with me, the more people are going to disagree with it. Or not even disagree. Like, people won't even say they necessarily agree, but some people who lack fucking brain cells feel compelled to just say negative shit for no reason. And it's like, you don't have to, if you just say I disagree for X, Y, and Z, I've had a lot of constructive conversations with people where we just don't agree. Honestly, I'm just the type of person, if I see something I don't agree with, unless it's like, I don't know, I'm not really a pile-on type person, unless it's like egregiously like what a fucking dumb thing to say. But like when it comes to like another fan specifically, if it's like a public figure, then kind of whatever usually. Although I'll never really say anything super mean. But if it's someone else, like if I don't agree with it, first of all, I won't really respond. If it's like someone else I see on someone else's timeline, I said this about that, I may disagree and like we can have a conversation about it. Most of the times I don't give a shit. I just don't have that energy. Like who cares? You know what I mean? Alexis asking, wait, what happened? I don't know what you're talking about exactly. If you're talking about like the AEW thing, then, because I said the people freak out because people were all upset about the ending of the show, rightfully so. Then the pro AEW fans are like, oh, people shouldn't be complaining. The end of the show was great, or people just complain for the sake of complaining, or the pay-per-view length isn't an issue. Again, if you have your reasons for it, then that's fine. But just to kind of lump everyone up, I kind of shit on like the diehards because those are the fucking worst type of fans. WWE and AEW both. It is just awful. It is just terrible. I don't know. I spoke my piece on that. Richie said, listen, man, I'm a WWE diehard fan, but some shows in the past and even current SmackDowns are way too long. I can admit when things I love suck. These AEW marks get so butthurt fast. They really do. WWE, same thing, but yeah, listen, I feel like this is a good way to go about it. If you are enough of a fan of something, then you know when to shit on it. Does that make sense? Like, Jericho, Alexis can attest to this. Jericho has long been one of my favorite wrestlers. I love Chris Jericho, I don't know, but like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers, performers, even an inspiration in certain ways, and has been for a very, very long time. Big Jericho mark, all right? Even I can sit here and tell you what he's doing right now is easily the worst work of his entire career. And I'd rather he just retire at this point. It's fucking embarrassing. It's terrible. It's just awful television, atrocious television. It's just not good. I feel like if you are enough of a fan of something, you know when it's bad. And you're not just always going to shit on it, but you're always not going to praise everything that it is either. Like if you love a show, you'll pick out certain things about it. I didn't really like this. That episode sucked. That movie in Star Wars sucked, which a lot of people will say. But like, you're not going to just lap up everything they do. And if you do enjoy everything they do, great. But you're not going to shit on people that have actual constructive criticism about something that sucks. If they say that it sucks for the sake that it sucks, then yeah, that doesn't really make sense. There's a lot of bad faith podcasters out there and wrestling fans. And it's usually the people with very minimal followings, or maybe a lot of followings, because a lot of people like negativity. I understand that, but I don't know. It's usually the people that get so butthurt over you saying something so negative about these companies have almost like it's clearly they're just burner accounts and have no friends, or because no one gives a shit about their opinion, so they have to kind of shit on other people's opinion. Does that make sense? Like the guy that said, go fuck yourself, had like 2 followers. I'm like, oh, well, there you go. So when I said something about Chris Jericho the other day, he called me a hater, and he had Jericho in his username. I said, is that Jericho's burner? Is Jericho on his burner right now shitting on me because he didn't like the fact that I said that his match at the pay-per-view was not good? Anyway, Johnny said WWE is like gourmet, AEW is like buffet. I don't know if I understand the reference. I'm not going to say which one's better. I'm not even talking about that. Dylan said AEW has a laundry list of problems with too many pay-per-view matches. Is definitely one of them. I agree. Richie said, in quote, this was funny. Do you follow me, friend? Yes, because you're my favorite mid-carder. If you don't get that joke, go back and look at Cody Rhodes. He got cooked on Twitter. I'm not even one to say that typically, but he did get cooked on Twitter by this one guy years ago. And this guy was criticizing Cody, called him a mid-carder or something like that, and then Cody responded to him and said, you follow me, so like, why are you shitting on me type thing? And this guy goes, yeah, of course I follow you, because you're my favorite mid-carder. That was really funny. That was fucking hilarious. Tiffany's being exposed on the mic right now, Fernando says. Yeah, she is, but I thought she stepped up her game on SmackDown. I will say that. Richie said, preach. Alexis said, I love to be brought on Thursday to talk about it. You could use a women's perspective with a smiley face. Don't get ahead of yourself. But yeah, if you can come on, if you're able to come on Thursday, Alexis, then yeah, we can. I might talk about it on Thursday. I'm not 100% sure. But you are a member now, so you get first dibs as far as what we talk about. So I guess that kind of has my hands tied, doesn't it? So yeah, we'll probably talk about that women's promo stuff on Thursday. Let's see. Backing it up here a little bit. Daniel said, Joey knocked out JBL. That makes him a go, LOL. Yeah, Joey Styles knocking out JBL when he was acting like a fucking bully definitely makes him, goated in my book as well. I feel like JBL's bully position has been taken over by Bully Ray. Now, Bully Ray is not active in any company right now, really. But, like, the way that I see him act, and this is a total side story here. I know we shit on Bubba about a month or two ago here on the show. Because I did that interview with him, and I kind of got a weird vibe from it. He's so full of his own shit, and I like the guy. Alexis just texted me. He's so full of his own shit. Like, I know it's part of the gimmick on television, and I'm sure a lot of it is just scripted reality TV show bullshit. But even I hear him in interviews, and the interview that I did with him, he's just like calls himself like the Hannibal Lecter of pro wrestling. What a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Like, he just sounds like a fucking asshole. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, he's obviously a legend, and he's one of the best tag teams of all time. I'm not saying he's a bum, but he's sitting there acting like he's the fucking god of pro wrestling on this LFG show while sitting next to the goddamn Undertaker. He is so annoying on that show, which again is probably the point. I get it. But he's so fucking annoying on that show specifically. He's just trying to say stuff like, oh, that's what, well, as soon as he said that's what's wrong with this generation, because this guy stood up for his teammate on the show. And this guy was literally just standing up for his female teammate. He was just standing up for her, and he talked back to Bully. But it's not like he said, fuck you, Bubba. He said, like, oh, please don't do that. And then Bubba was like, oh, don't talk back to me, blah, 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 blah. Don't talk to me. You're being disrespectful. You're what's wrong with this generation. As soon as he said that, I said, okay. I know where he lies. I can already see where this is going. And I can't say I'm surprised. Johnny said, Sabu, Abyss proved that you don't have to speak to get over. Oh, those guys prove that you don't have to speak to get over? Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about like Charlotte, I mean, she has to talk. I mean, Charlotte has to promo. She's not fucking Abyss. But I understand what you mean. Fernando said, Tiffany sounds too much like a mean girl to be a babyface. She should have stayed heel, and a babyface should have won the Rumble. No, I think Tiffany and Charlotte was the Mania match. Tiffany's going to be a babyface at some point. She's so organically liked, you had to turn her face. The problem is, she just has to improve being a babyface. That's all. She's got to do a better job of it. They have to make it make sense, and it also falls on her to feel comfortable. Daniel said, it's funny with the acoustics in the arena and the booing for Charlotte. I actually had to go back and watch the segment since I couldn't hear part of it. That's funny. On the booing. Oh, because you were there, Daniel. I forgot. Daniel, I hope you had a fun time. SmackDown was fun on Friday. They were in Chicago. Daniel's a Chicago guy. I forgot about that. Emmanuel's also a Chicago guy. He said the same thing. He goes, I was in attendance for SmackDown on Friday. Charlotte definitely got overwhelmed by the boos. And that's what I don't understand. She's been there for a decade, dude. She's been there for a fucking decade. I don't get it. I don't understand why she's been there for so long and she still gets so rattled by this shit. Like, Dominic Mysterio is like 25 years old and handles it like a pro. Other women do the same thing. It's not a male-female thing. It's a Charlotte Flair problem. She gets so gotten to. I just don't get it. She wants to be liked. I think it's I don't know if it's an insecurity thing. Like, she talked about in the interview she did on the Sherry Shepherd show, like, oh, I came back from this injury and people still shit on me. I do feel bad for her as far as that goes. Like, I wasn't booing her at the Rumble. Like, I didn't really want her to win. But I was like, okay, like, you know, I like Charlotte. I think Charlotte's very, very good. I'm not saying she's one of the worst wrestlers ever. Far from it. She's one of the best women's wrestlers of all time, to be honest with you. And if you don't agree, I mean, I'm not saying you're dumb, but, like, I don't know. You look at her body of work. She's had a lot of great moments in matches. Promos, not so much. But moments in matches, absolutely. I do feel bad, but it's just her attitude that also gives off just like, I don't know. It doesn't bode well. Let's put it that way. It doesn't really bode well for her on-screen persona. Nathaniel said, do you also think Rock and Roman should have happened at 40? No, because it should have happened at 39. If Rock and Roman happened at 39 and you saved Rock becoming whatever. If you saved Cody winning the Rumble for the following year, I mean, Cody and Roman was the match to do at 39, because it's tough to say, because I feel like if we got Rock and Roman at 39, Roman was winning. No one wanted Roman's run to last another year, and I maintain that. But it ended up working out, so it's hard to complain too much. Honestly, I think the time to do Rock and Roman was 38. Honestly, like 39 in Hollywood made sense, but it depends on when they would have started building to it. 38, we got Roman and Brock again, and they had a great feud at that point, but they could have blown that off before Mania and done Roman and Rock in Mania. They could have, but Rock didn't want to come back because he couldn't pencil it in as far as how they could figure it out. Some other bullshit or something like that. I don't know. Johnny said, I want to see some more silent characters come back. It depends on who we're talking about, I guess, right? Fernando said, Flair needs some Love Ziggler in her life. Yes, she does. We all could use some Love Ziggler in her life. And if you become a member today, you could see emojis in the chat. There's a Dolph Ziggler emoji there. And you can show us your Love Ziggler love. You could show some love for Love Ziggler. There's a Dolph Ziggler GIF in there, but you can only use it if you're a member. Is that enough of an incentive to sign up to become a member? Nathaniel said, do you want to see Becky versus Liv when Becky comes back? I mean, I guess it would make sense, right? Because Liv was the last person to beat Becky and kind of send her packing. So, yeah, I would like that. I mean, we only got a little bit of that feud before she left last year. It wasn't like a full-fledged feud. Liv actually turned heel at the end of that feud, not in the beginning. So, I'd be down for that. Johnny said, I think Swerve and Paige are going to be the next tag team champions. I could see that. Richie said 100% makes sense. Emmanuel said, also regarding Charlotte, did she always talk over people in promo battles? I know she had awkward exchanges before, like the Becky title swap promo, but I can't remember if she's always ad-libbed. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like she largely followed the script that was given to her. She might just be in an era now where she doesn't give a fuck. I don't know. I honestly am not really sure. That's a good question, though. Johnny said, some people think your criticism is going to make AEW go bankrupt. Like, yeah, seriously. Get over it. Like, I want the company to do better. That's why I'm pissed that they do dumb shit like what we saw at the end of Dynasty. He also said someone else should have bought Ring of Honor. I don't agree with that. I think what he's done with Ring of Honor hasn't been amazing. But if WWE bought Ring of Honor, it would be a fucking tab on Peacock. Like, they would not have kept it alive. I'm glad Ring of Honor is still alive. I'm not really sure in what form it's even really alive right now because it's barely a brand at this point. It's like the bare bones of a brand. But at least he respects Ring of Honor enough to have bought it and license it, and hasn't got a TV deal for it, but I don't know. I'm glad he bought it, but he could be doing more with it than what they're doing right now. It basically just exists for the sake of existing, which I guess is better than nothing, right? Fernando said, I watch all wrestling promotions. I give fair praise and criticism to both WWE and AEW. I try the same. I like what I like, and not even like what I like. What I call shit, I think is garbage, and I'm not saying my opinion is gospel or anything like that, but, I'll call people on their shit in both companies. I like both companies a lot. I want to see them do well. So if I see something garbage, I'll call it garbage. Dillon signing up for a WrestleRant All Access Pass. Thank you, Dillon. Dillon becomes a member here on the channel if you want to join the WrestleRant Revolution and unlock a whole bunch of perks, including getting a belt next to your name, which Dillon now has next to his name in the chat, and unlocking emojis and early access to videos, ad-free, members-only live streams and watch-alongs, shout-outs at the beginning of every stream. If you have something for me to promote, I can promote it. Access to our Discord, which I'll make available very shortly. Sign up to become a member for only $5 a month. And to have your questions answered before anyone else is here on the show. I have not answered a single fucking question from the scheduled questions that were sent in ahead of time. And I had to go in like a half an hour. My time management sucks. But you guys, there's a lot of people joining, which I appreciate. Thank you so much. But I will get to the questions as soon as possible. So thank you, Dillon, for that. I appreciate it. Shout out to Dillon. I don't know if he has any videos on his channel you can subscribe to, but I appreciate Dillon. So shout out to him. I'll shout you out again at the end of the video. And also, like I said earlier, if you become a member during the streams, you'll get shouted out. Like Dillon gets the big fucking green button, says, welcome to All Access Pass. Johnny said some people take wrestling very seriously, a little too seriously. Emmanuel said, apparently Tony Khan defended Moxley's reign at the post-pay-per-view scrum by saying he still gets good ratings and views. I'm sure he does. I'm sure for the numbers he does well because it's Moxley. He's a big name for that company. Creatively, though, the storyline is fucking terrible. He's not going to shit on the reign on the post-pay-per-view scrum. I expect nothing different. But, the storyline itself sucks. I think a vast majority of the fans feel that way. And for a company that prides itself on listening to the audience, he's not doing a very good job of it because they're still fucking doing it. And it's not a case of, we got to get to the end game. Brother, the end game is in like 3 months. That means we have another 3 months of this garbage. Pivot when you have the chance. Swerve winning the belt would have made perfect sense, and you can make it make sense. What, to get the belt on Ospreay? You could have Swerve win the belt now and then have him lose it to Ospreay at All In. And Ospreay doesn't even really necessarily need to win it on that show. They should have pivoted. I'm sorry, they should have pivoted. Johnny said the chat wants to hear Alexis's take on how WWE and AEW can improve the women's division. I agree. I want to hear what she has to say. I mean, we've already talked about it, but I'll probably have her on the show on Thursday. She texted me saying that she could do the show on Thursday, so I think we're good. I think she will probably be on the show on Thursday, and she can speak her piece. Richie said, nah, we hate Bubba. Bro is a mark for himself. He's really not that guy. Yeah, he called himself like a master psychologist in like the first episode. He just sounds like a fucking asshole. I know he does that on purpose to get a rise out of people. That's part of his gimmick. I get it. But he just sounds like a dick. Like, again, he is such a mark for himself. They recreated the Dudley Boys or the Dudley family for like a promo presentation thing for like a segment they were doing on the show a couple weeks ago. It sucked. I'm like, this guy is such a mark for himself. It's awful. Fernando saying Tiffany brought up the divorce. First on SmackDown, why we giving Flair all the heat on how the promo turned out? Because Charlotte was the one that stampeded over her in the first place. If you go back and watch their exchange, I mean, yeah, it is Tiffany's fault for not doing a better job of ad-libbing. But that was not scripted. Charlotte just talking over her and being annoying in that initial promo segment a couple of weeks ago, that was Charlotte's fault. So, and then Charlotte ad-libbing during the segment on SmackDown, I didn't have an issue with the ad-libbing because honestly it made it more entertaining to me. But her ad-libbing sucks. Like, yeah, Tiffany, I don't know. I mean, I give her heat, I guess, because she went off script. It's not even the fact that Charlotte went off script. If you're going to go off script, make it entertaining. You know who also went off script a lot? But it sucked? Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey got also so bothered and so flustered by the fans in her promos. And then she would, like, add shit to her name, like the stuff she was given pretty bad material, I understand that. But it's not like she did a better job with the material that she was given. She would ad-lib sometimes, and she would always mess up her words. It was terrible. So bad. Alexis and I watched the video. Dillon sent me a video like a month ago or two of bad women's promos. And we were on during Dynasty the other day, Alexis and I were watching a bunch of bad women's promos. And Charlotte was in there a bunch. Ronda was in there. She dominated like almost every single video. She had so many bad moments, specifically from her second run, that was just so fucking awful of shit that she was saying in her promos. Her acting isn't great either. Oh my God. Anyway, Emmanuel said, or Dillon said before that, actually, I'm sorry, Richie said even before that, you keep eating what you're serving and eventually you're going to believe it. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it as far as Bubba Ray goes. Or I don't know if you're talking about Charlotte. Either way, it honestly kind of works. Dillon said, I was standing at my kitchen table booing her ass, LMAO. when she won the Rumble. Yeah, it was bad. When Charlotte won the Rumble, it was really bad. Emmanuel said, speaking of Bubba Ray, it wasn't really bad, but it was like, really? Are you fucking kidding me? Charlotte won the Rumble? Really? Speaking of Bubba Ray, I read a part of Batista's autobiography where he told a story of him injuring Randy by falling back on his leg, but instead of apologizing, he complained that he got hurt too. Yes, I know what you're talking about. One, I read the book. Batista's autobiography was one of the first wrestling autobiographies I ever read. It was great. Second of all, yes, that makes the rounds every once in a while on Twitter. So Batista is no Bubba Ray fan either. I think he said they since made up. I could be wrong, but I think the name of the chapter of that in the book was Bubba's an Asshole, which was so fucking funny. Nathaniel said, I was tired of Roman versus Brock Lesnar. I would have been fine with Rock and Roman at 38. I agree. Daniel said, do you think they never did Rock and Roman yet because Rocky didn't want to do the JOB? That could be part of it. I mean, the guy doesn't want to get fucking hit in his movies, so he may not say that publicly, but I feel like that could be part of it for sure. Maria says, Veer should be the one to take on the Viper at Mania. Watch the excitement of Mania sour. Sour? No, it would soar, I think is what you mean to say. It would soar. Veer, come on. Veer versus Orton at Mania. I agree. It's a money match waiting to happen. Either Veer or Love Ziggler. Either way, you can't really go wrong. Richie said, when can we can still get the Rock versus Roman, but it doesn't have to culminate in a match. Yeah, that's what Rock told me. Rock told me. Rock told all of us. You can tell stories, but not have them culminate in matches. Still one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Richie said we could still get Rock. What am I fucking saying? I just read that. Daniel said the high-pitched, Tiffany, you're so squeaky, has been stuck in my head since Friday and not in a good way, LOL. It was bad. That was really bad. She gets so flustered in like the shit that she, just some of the shit that she says and the way that she says it is really, really bad. Just terrible. It's just not good, man. It's just not good. I don't know. And the funny thing is, like, I've interviewed Charlotte a bunch, and she was great. Like, she felt unscripted, so to speak. Like, she sounds so scripted on TV. And when she goes off script, that also sucks. But, like, Ashley, the person, she's great. Like, I've always enjoyed any interaction I've had with her in interviews and stuff. She sounds like a normal human being. But on TV, it's just not great. Last Friday's segment was Charlotte's suffering succotash moment. I think it was. That's a good comparison, Richie. And that was also a decade ago, around this time. Fernando said, you're a lucky man, Dillon. Maria said, Tony is cooking the books. Maria said, I want to hear from Alexis. Well, she'll be on the show on Thursday. She's not going to be on the show today. She was on the show last Tuesday. She'll be on the show on Thursday. I think we can have her on the show and we can talk about the women's promos thing. I'm not denying her a spot today. It's just that it doesn't work out logistically, but she will be on the show probably on Thursday. Johnny said, do you think AEW will ever have a women's main event of pay-per-view? At some point, probably. They should have with Revolution and Tony and Mariah, but they opted to go with Mox and Cope instead, which was fucking terrible. So that was their opportunity. Fernando said, hail to the queen of WrestleRant. Alexis would love to hear her takes and opinions on Thursday. Thank you, Fernando. Alexis getting a lot of love here in the chat from Fernando, Johnny, Maria, and everyone else. We want to hear from Alexis. Well, you're going to hear from Alexis again. She's made the rounds recently. We did a watch-along together. She was on the 2K gameplay video a couple of weeks ago. She was on Hashtag last week. She's going to be on WrestleRant Radio this Thursday. Consider it booked. Daniel said himself, if Veer or Love Ziggler come out, I'm going to defecate my pants. I'm going to fucking combust. Actually, I probably shouldn't say that's kind of disgusting, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump through a window, call an ambulance. I don't know. I'm going to need it. If Veer or Love Ziggler were on the Orton mystery opponent at Mania. Daniel said she was on the show and scared off Tyreek. Yeah, that is true. At the end of Thursday's WrestleRant Radio, well, first of all, she scared off Tyreek on Hashtag last week. First of all. Second of all, Tyreek popped up in the comments of WrestleRant Radio last Thursday. Literally, we were going off the air, and Tyreek popped up in the chat. I'm like, you motherfucker. He knows what he's doing. He's definitely listening or watching right now, thinking to himself, why are they talking about me? Well, you know why we're talking about you, because the whole Love Ziggler thing, you have yet to explain yourself. It's been a month at least now. You still have yet to explain yourself. And Alexis certainly scared him off. But Tyreek, I'm Team Tyreek as well. I'm Team Alexis, but I'm also Team Tyreek. I play both sides. Fernando said, Rock has become someone who thinks he is smarter than everyone else about wrestling. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. He thinks his shit don't stink. And I like Rock. I like Rock a lot, but sometimes, the report was true that he wanted to turn Cody heel recently. Please do not give this guy the book. Please do not have this guy book the show or be the head of creative or whatever. That sounds like, that would have been fucking terrible. Dillon said, what are your thoughts on hearing Sue Storm in the upcoming Fantastic movie is pregnant? Her and Reed's son Franklin is the most powerful character in the comics. Yeah, that was confirmed. I know that was speculated that she was pregnant in the movie, and it was confirmed. Yeah, I am a tweener. I am a tweener, Daniel. It was confirmed recently that she is pregnant. We'll see what happens with that. I heard speculation that maybe, like, why is she pregnant in this movie? Maybe the baby is what. I'll go to the chat in a second. I hear the baby is what Galactus might want, or Doom or something might want, Doctor Doom. We'll see. The baby, I feel like, will play a pretty pivotal role in the movie, though, in the plot. But I thought that was cool that they confirmed it. Dylan said, please, I don't want to hear more of Alexis. Oh, that's not nice. We all need more Alexis in our life. I think the chat agrees. Johnny said Graham Matthews chant. I'm not going to start the chant myself. I feel like Bubba Ray Dudley being a mark for myself if I were to do that. But thank you, Johnny. And Emmanuel said, I play both sides. Paul Heyman /GSM. Yeah, consider me the Paul Heyman here to Team Tyreek and Alexis. I guess that would make Alexis what? CM Punk and Tyreek is Roman Reigns. We could flop the two. I'm the Paul Heyman. I'm the advocate for both of them. Richie said, I play both sides. Oh, word. Oh, don't take that out of context. I'm talking Alexis and Tyreek. I got to watch what I say. I feel like I said earlier I would combust, so that's also pretty gross. Johnny said, I can't wait to see the Thunderbolts. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that movie as well. Alexis, get the wrench. Yeah, Alexis said, you know what? Hell yeah. That's not what I meant. And I don't play both sides in that respect. But there's nothing wrong with that. I also want to clarify that as well. Do not twist my words into thinking that I'm anti-anything. I'm also certainly not anti-Tyreek, because Tyreek is the man. I appreciate his support. Sometimes he just leaves us hanging with the lack of explanation of Love Ziggler. Anyway, Johnny said, I can't wait to see the Thunderbolts. Me either. I'm looking forward to the movie. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We have been live on here for an hour and 35 minutes. I have approximately 20 minutes before I have to leave. I have gone to all of 0 questions. Here are the scheduled questions that I have to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through these questions quickly because I got to get going soon. I love that you guys are here in the chat. Thank you so much for the support. I got to answer these questions, and then I got to get out of here. So I will answer the questions, look at the chat, and we'll leave. It's not your fault. My time management is just not great sometimes. Richie says, wait till I see you, Graham. Richie, you're enough to turn anyone to both sides. All right. Richie's the man. 5-hour stream right now. Oh, God damn. You guys just keep chatting in or else I'll combust. You guys are doing me no favors with these chats here. Fernando said, Alexis and Love Ziggler is what the world badly needs. Preach, brother. You've been watching the Stephanie McMahon show? No, I see the clips. I can't. Stephanie having her own show, just who gives a fuck? Honestly, who gives a shit? It's the guests that really make the show good. It's not really Stephanie. No disrespect, but I could care less about a Stephanie McMahon show. But I've heard that some of the clips are good. The show itself, I don't really give a fuck about. They could put anyone in that spot in the show, would probably be fine because it's really the guests giving the stories, not really Stephanie doing the interviewing, but. That's just the vibe that I get from it. And Daniel also said Mania would need a third night if we get Alexis versus Tyreek. Yeah, seriously. And Alexis said, Graham, stop reading the questions. I'm enough. Stop. I'm going to cry. Richie, you're always enough. All right, let's read the questions here. I'm going to read the questions, get into them quickly, and then take off soon after. At the Average Grunt. Everyone talks about what the best opening or main event matches are all the time. But what are the best second matches or semi-main events in history? That was from Average Grunt on YouTube. Great question. And I came up with a couple answers. Like, off the top of your head, you can't really think to yourself. Can you guys think of like, oh, this is the best second match in a card in pay-per-view history? Probably not. Semi-main events, maybe. Second matches on cards, not really. But I came up with a few here. For semi-main events, Charlotte, Flair, and Becky Lynch was the semi-main event of Evolution. That was not the main event, but it did go on second to last. At Evolution 2018, their last man standing match, that might be one of the best semi-main events in WWE history. And what you can't, like, when I say semi-main, and what grunt probably means, is second to last. So, like, Taker and Shawn wasn't the main event. It was a mid-card match in Mania 25, but it didn't go on second to last. It went on, like, third or fourth to last. So I'm not including that. And a lot of Manias have buffer matches right before the main event, so it was kind of hard to include those. But Mania 10 had one of the best semi-mains ever in Razor and Shawn, ladder match, Intercontinental Championship. That was one of the best semi-main events of all time. Best second matches on a card that I can remember. I was like, WrestleMania 34 was wasn't a great show, but like had a great opener. But I remember the first hour being fantastic. What was the second match on that card? So I looked it up, Charlotte Flair and Asuka. I mean, we didn't love the ending of Asuka tapping out to Charlotte, ending her undefeated streak in the process, but the actual match was great. So Charlotte and Asuka for Mania 34 might be one of the best second matches on a card ever. And also the Money in the Bank ladder match. The first ever Money in the Bank ladder match did not open WrestleMania 21. It was actually the second match on that show, with Edge winning, and He Who Shall Not Be Named also involved in the match, among others, Kane, Shelton Benjamin, Christian. Excellent match. Excellent match. Money in the Bank 2021, or WrestleMania 21 and 2005. So those would be my picks. Jordan B. from YouTube. Should WWE consider the WWE ECW champion a world title? I thought they did. First of all, yes, because it was a world championship in ECW so many years ago. So why would the WWE version be any different if it's supposed to carry the same lineage? Yes, the ECW championship, the WWE version, I would consider a world title. The fact that Jack Swagger was the world champion kind of takes away from it. But then again, he was also the world heavyweight champion too. So I guess anything can indeed happen. But yes, I would consider the ECW championship under WWE's banner to be a world title. So by that metric, I don't know how many world championships CM Punk would have had, but you can add that to the list. That would have meant that Matt Hardy was a former world champion, which he was in TNA anyway. John Morrison, same thing. Kane was a former ECW champion, and a few other people as well. Jordan's second question: do you think WWE should have inducted Spike Dudley into the WWE Hall of Fame with Bubba Ray Dudley and Devon back in 2018? No. I know Spike Dudley was a big part of their act back in the day, but the tag team was not Bubba, Devon, and Spike. Bubba and Devon are one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I don't love Bubba, but at this point, but they are one of the best tag teams of all time. Spike was not teaming with them for their best tag team matches of all time. He was involved in some of those matches, but he was not actually teaming with them. So I know you're thinking, like, it's not like the NWO, where the NWO was one of the greatest factions of all time. So you're going to include more than two members. The Dudleys are not one of the greatest factions of all time by any metric at all. Tag teams, yes. So it really should have just been Bubba and Devon, no Spike. Micah Does It, who we saw here in the chat earlier on, sent in a YouTube question, said, I just started playing WWE 2K24 My GM mode for the first time, and I'm not doing good. My shows always have the worst viewership out of the other ones I'm going against. What tips could you give to me to do well as a new player? How do I unlock more wrestlers after drafting? Honestly, I feel like Emmanuel is the perfect person to answer this question. He gives me a lot of great tips. I don't play the game to win. I play the game to do good matches and storylines, so I never really win shit. You got to do matches that are consistently strong with star power, face, people with similar styles, keep the feuds going for as long as possible, blow them off on pay-per-view when necessary. I feel like that's the best way to do it. And you also have to play dirty with the power cards. I feel like if you keep all of that in mind, then you could do pretty well at GM mode. I don't really do any of that. I just do what works for me, brother, and not really the betterment of the game and winning and ratings and shit. So again, I'm not probably the best person to ask on that front. I feel like the best thing to do, though, with the game is to just to have fun. Just have fun. If you want to win, unlocking wrestlers, I don't know how that works. I already had the shit unlocked when I got the game. But I feel like you just got to win and, have the best show by getting the best ratings. That's really what it comes down to. His second question, good question here. This was kind of going off the Disney Nickelodeon question from last week. He said, Disney makes live action movies for their cartoons from the past. If Cartoon Network did the same and you could pick either show or a movie, what live action show or movie would you want to see Cartoon Network attempt at? Pick 3, boss. That's what he said. I immediately thought of Static Shock. Static Shock, which I guess Swerve did a cosplay of at the pay-per-view. I completely missed that. Static Shock, I fucking loved. I watched that on Cartoon Network. I think it was a Warner Brothers show, a WB show, so it's technically not Cartoon Network. But a Static Shock movie or some shit, I would fucking watch the shit out of that. I love Static Shock. Very underrated show. But these were 3 Cartoon Network shows. Codename Kids Next Door. I feel like a remake of that, a live action version of that would be awful. I know they either made or were going to make a Powerpuff Girls movie. I heard that was terrible too. That looked terrible. This might be more of the same, but I thought Codename Kids Next Door was a classic show. Really liked that show on Cartoon Network. That's 1. 2, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Again, don't know how good of a live action movie that would be. That was another good show. I wasn't really a big Cartoon Network fan. I really enjoyed Nickelodeon a lot more and Disney Channel, so there's really not a whole lot of, animated shows from Cartoon Network I can pick at. But the third one, Clone Wars. That was a Cartoon Network show. Alexis is going to love that answer. Star Wars Clone Wars was a animated show that aired on Cartoon Network. So that would be my answer. Technically, that was live action with the form of the movies, but like the show itself, there's a lot of shit in the shows that did not make the movies. And they actually recreated in other shows like Ahsoka and stuff like that. So Clone Wars would be my number 1 pick far and away, but if you count Static Shock, then maybe Codename Kids Next Door and also Courage the Cowardly Dog. That was a good show too. Kind of fucking weird. That was a very creepy show, but I liked the show. The Mandy and the Reaper, whatever that show was, didn't love it. The other shows on that network, didn't really love those either. Christopher L. from Facebook, so always got great questions. His first question was, he said, "Hello, Graham, hope everything is going well. What is your opinion of Dana Brooke or Ash Elegance in TNA? Has she progressed, regressed, or hasn't changed much since her time in WWE? I personally could care less about the act, since it's basically timeless Tony Storm without the creativity or attention to detail put into it. What about you?" She hasn't really progressed. I mean, in the ring, she's the same wrestler that she was. She's been the same wrestler in the ring for a decade. People always said, "Oh yeah, give Dana Brooke a chance, let her break out." She was never really that good. That's the problem. And she's not that good in the ring now. The character has helped. I feel like she should have been doing this character years ago in WWE. It is very timeless Tony Storm-esque, I agree with you. But she is more bearable than she was in WWE. At the end there in WWE for the last 5 or 6 years, Dana Brooke was like, who gives a shit about Dana Brooke? Seriously, she was just not good, paled in comparison to the rest of the women. In TNA, she's gotten a bit of a chance, and she's made the most of her opportunities. And has had some good matches, too. She's not my favorite performer, but she's all right. He also said there are reports Mariah May's contract is up this year. Do you see her staying in AEW or going to WWE? For me, I think she's staying put. Also could Britt Baker be headed to WWE at some point? I think Mariah May stays. Could she pull a Jade Cargill and shock everyone by going to WWE? Yeah, she could. I mean, she had the perfect character arc in AEW, so it's not like... I feel like that would be cool, like to see her in WWE after the great work that she's done in AEW and have that be her swan song, the match against Toni Storm, but I feel like she would get lost in the shuffle. In AEW, she may have peaked as far as what she's going to be, how she's positioned on the card. She reached her highest point. But I feel like there's more of a chance that she would do well in AEW at this point and stay there and have more success, maybe win the TBS championship at some point, work with some more women, and then go to WWE down the road. So she could go to WWE and do really well for herself. I'm just not sure she would get the spotlight she deserves when WWE's already hired so many women as of late that would overshadow her in NXT or in the main roster. As far as Britt Baker, could she go to WWE at some point? Definitely. Do they need her? No, absolutely not. But could I see her going there? Yeah, I mean, there's really not much more for her to do in AEW at this point. The last year or two of her run has been very not good. I don't even think she's hurt right now. She's just not on the show. But yeah, I could see her in WWE down the road. I don't know how well she would fit in, but or if they would want her or whatever, but I could totally see her going there, though. He also asked a random as hell question, but here it goes. Better year as a fan of WWE Pro Wrestling, 2008 or 2014? It's a very good question because I was a fan during both of those years. I think it has to be 08. 08 was, 08 still had peak Ring of Honor and TNA was still doing great stuff. 2014, TNA kind of had a resurgence, but they were kind of dying. Ring of Honor I got into in 2014 and they were doing good stuff. WWE overall in 2014 was garbage. I've called it one of my favorite years in the past. And Mania was great. SummerSlam was great. But like the fall was awful. The road to WrestleMania was kind of all over the place. CM Punk quit that year. AJ Styles left TNA. I kind of had an empty void as a wrestling fan in 2014. A lot of just, and NXT was great in 2014. So there really are pros and cons. But 2008, I thought had a lot of great stuff, specifically in WWE. And also TNA. That was when I got into TNA, and Ring of Honor was still doing great stuff at that point. So I'm going to go 2008. But 2014 was a decent year for wrestling overall. Not the worst. There were other years that were worse than that. Maybe 2013. 2014 wasn't much better on the whole, but it was still decent. Just a reminder here, I'm going through all the questions quickly that were sent in beforehand. I got to get going soon. So not wasted at all. I waited too long to answer these questions, so I'm going through them all now because we were talking in the chat for a while. And I'll go through the chat one more time very quickly before we wrap up here. So if you're wondering why I'm not addressing the chat or responding to you guys, it's because I'm going through these questions very quickly before we leave. He also asked, Christopher did, can you name your 5 rivalries, past or present, that have defined TNA as a promotion? It's a great question. For me, it's James Storm, Bobby Roode, my favorite feud in TNA history. Love that feud, the Beer Money feud. Also their feud with Motor City Machine Guns, honorable mention. I don't know if it was really a feud, but it did help put TNA on the map. The AJ, Daniels, Samoa Joe triple threat, probably still the best match in TNA history. I don't know if that feud counts, but I would put that in there. Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, when Angle first arrived in TNA in 06 through 07. I would put that feud on there. That really helped define TNA. Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, I don't really have any memories of that because I wasn't watching back then, but upon doing some quick research, I mean, that was a big world title program in the early years of TNA, and they continued to feud even into the 2010s. So I'd go Angle, Jeff Jarrett, maybe Sting and Jeff Jarrett. Again, I wasn't watching at that point, so it's hard for me to say. But the biggest one, honestly, Gail Kim, Awesome Kong. Biggest women's feud they ever had. They always had amazing chemistry, and really, that was a turning point for not for just TNA's women's division, but women's wrestling in general. At that point, 08. Like before the NXT women's revolution, TNA was doing great stuff with their women starting in 07. So I would mention that one as well. He also said AEW has been building to an eventual Athena versus Mercedes Moné match in the near future. In my opinion, what better place to have it at All In Houston, Athena's hometown, and in front of a large crowd? Should they save it for All In, or would that be a little too long to build the match? I think you got to do a match before then. They're going to have a match in the fucking Women's Owen Hart Cup. I mean, Mercedes already, moved past Julia Hart. Athena should not be losing to Harley Cameron. So we're definitely getting Mercedes and Athena before then. All In's not for another 3 months. You can finish the feud there at this point. Maybe Athena finally beats Mercedes on that show. Maybe they have a draw in the tournament, or Mercedes beats her, which is what I'm kind of expecting. I think Athena ultimately beats Mercedes at All In, or at least they fucking hope so. I don't think you can wait 3 months to do the first match at this point, since they've already interacted a whole bunch. Next question from Christopher. The New Day turned heel in one of the best wrestling segments all year in 2024, but after that momentum kind of slid, with a portion of the fan base thinking the company hasn't fully capitalized on the turn, and instead they feel a little stuck in limbo in terms of character and storyline progression. They recently earned a title opportunity against the War Raiders, but I feel they haven't really been doing much outside of feuding with the Losers World Order, Latino World Order is what he said, to warrant this opportunity. Has the WWE struggled with maintaining that momentum that the New Day had? Do you see them taking the titles from the Raiders? And if so, could WWE finally turn things around for the duo after 4 months of stalemate booking with them? I mean, honestly, there really is no denying that WWE has dropped the ball on the New Day since their heel turn. No doubt. I mean, they were still on the show pretty consistently, and they were feuding with LWO, which was fine. And they had some matches with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee and some shit like that, but they really should have been doing better than they were. For all the heat they had in like December and January, WWE did not really capitalize on it as much as they should. Now they just feel like another team on the show. Yes, I would give them the World Tag Team title soon. They did not win them last night. It ended in a DQ, which was kind of lame. Maybe at Mania, soon after Mania, I could see that. I think New Day get the belts back. And it's been so long since they've had a world title, tag title run on the main roster, where I feel like it would feel fresh. So I do see them winning the belts. I do feel like WWE struggled maintaining that momentum for the New Day, and they could turn things around, totally. Especially if Big E were to come back at some point, that immediately reignites their heat. But hopefully they can get more heat again before that by doing more of what they were doing back in December and getting some amazing heat at that point. Hopefully they can kind of recapture that magic at some point. His last question here, and then a couple more questions after that. This was the headline of the video. This Tiffany Stratton-Charlotte Flair feud, as I said 2 weeks ago, has been an absolute embarrassment on the creative side of things. These two have absolutely no chemistry promo-wise. Charlotte is a charisma vortex who sucks on the mic, and Tiffany is supposedly the face in this when she's not acting like a babyface. Last week's promo segment was awful, with both of them going off script, and Charlotte struggling to lean on the hatred the fans have for her. This isn't the first time Charlotte's severe lack of professionalism has pissed off the fan base, as she did the same thing in that interview with Tiffany 2 weeks ago, and with Becky Lynch back in 2021, with the belt swap disaster. I know you like where this is going, and I respect that, but I am just sick to death of Charlotte being a bitch, is what he said, and doing things her way with little to no regard for who she's working with, and her getting away with it every time. Why does Charlotte continue to get a pass for her unprofessionalism? And how much longer until nobody wants to work with her? I mean, as far as that last thing, I mean, that's a hell of a message there. Very well worded and very well said. I don't think Charlotte will ever get to the point where no one wants to work with her, because a star is a star. Charlotte, you cannot deny, is one of the biggest female stars in that company. She's a 15-time women's champion, whatever the fuck it is. She is still great. It's not like she's not great. And it's not like with Tessa, who is also very, very good. Tessa has that black mark of, like, no pun intended, I guess. She has that mark against her of, the racist allegations and stuff like that. Charlotte has no allegations of that whatsoever. It's really just their booking and overexposure. WWE will always have a spot for Charlotte for as long as she wants to be there. I could see Charlotte leaving on her own, being like, I'm sick of this shit. These kids don't respect me, or WWE doesn't book me correctly, they don't write me correctly, whatever the fuck. I could totally see her leaving at some point in the next few years. To do what? I don't know. I mean, to do movies, I would hope not, because as an actress, I don't think she would do well at all. Is it unprofessional? Yes. But I don't know if she's doing it because she's being a bitch, or she's doing it because she's trying to test Tiffany. That's another question. Like, I don't really know. We don't really know. We don't know what her intentions are. They've tried to bring the best out of each other. It hasn't really worked. They don't have great chemistry on the mic at all. Tiffany's still struggling in her role. I agree with that. You just got to give her more time. She's only been a babyface now for like a month or two. Kind of too soon to say she doesn't work as a face. It's too early to tell. She has to be more comfortable. If this ultimately makes Tiffany better in the long run, then mission accomplished. Although I'm not really sure that was the mission that Charlotte set out to do. That's kind of the question. Can she keep getting away with this? Yes, because it's Charlotte Flair. Big stars will always have leeway with what they can do and say. She's one of the biggest stars in that company. Ric Flair's her dad, part of it. Triple H has a lot of respect for Charlotte and her father. She'll always be able to get away with it, so to speak. But it's not that bad where it's like, I mean, we'll see what happens in Mania, but it's not like she's going in there and taking liberties with her opponents and injuring them. Like, to my knowledge, she's never done that. It's not like she's going in there and changing the result of the match on the fly. How much say does she even have with her matches as far as who goes over and who doesn't? We don't know. We have no idea. Honestly, like, as far as the unprofessionalism, like, I saw that and heard a lot more stories about that with Brock Lesnar than I have with Charlotte. Like, Brock, again, giving receipts to people in the ring, legitimately knocking people out, getting way too physical. That shit is unprofessional. But again, he got away with it. I mean, Vince was in charge for one thing. But second of all, it's Brock fucking Lesnar. They're not going to tell him no. Charlotte's not Brock, but she's also a big star. And big stars can do that sort of stuff. If it gets to the point where it's like really, really bad, where it's like, I'm not saying like Charlotte or like, for example, a big star was getting away with like sexual harassment or sexual assault. Obviously not. But if like for stuff like this where she's kind of poking and prodding at Tiffany in a promo, I mean, they might have to have a talk with Charlotte to say, hey, don't do that. It's making for terrible television. But if they got people talking about it, and I thought it was a good must-see segment because it was car crash television, then they're going to keep doing it. And I honestly don't really see an issue with that part of it. But, I don't really think she should have, spoken over Tiffany. She's got to do less of that. I mean, if she's just running over her opponents in promos and not making them look good at all, that is an issue they need to work on. But if it's a case of she's trying to make them be better, then great. And Tiffany has improved in the last 2 weeks alone. And she stood up for herself, and it made for a very interesting segment on SmackDown. So that's what I'll say about that. Last 3 questions and we'll get out of here. At Uwagu91, do you see Kalani Jordan winning the NXT Women's title in the future? I could see it. I don't know if she will, because with Julia there, Jordan Grace, and Stephanie Vaquer, it might be kind of tough. But I could see it. I mean, Jordan's very good, so I could see her winning that championship before she goes to the main roster down the road. He asked, do you think Roxy and Perez will vie for any of the women's titles or mid-card belts before winning of the top prizes, before she wins any of the top prizes? Yeah, I could see Roxanne going for the women's IC title belt, the women's United States belt. I don't think she immediately gets thrust into the main women's championship picture and then wins it like in 2025. I don't see that happening. But I could totally see her beating like a Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental Championship. I could totally see that. So I would say yes. Last question from Matt Uwagu91. As of this year, what are your thoughts on Nick Nemeth's TNA run? I've enjoyed it. I think it's been a very good run. Turning heel when he did was the right timing because he was still over as a babyface, and he does his better work as a heel, though. So they turned him heel like a year after he arrived. Perfect timing on that front. He had a good World Championship run. He's had some really good matches. He doesn't feel stagnant as much as he did in WWE at all. We're getting fresh matches with him. I've really enjoyed Nick Nemeth's TNA run. I think he made the better call going to TNA first. I don't know if he ever goes to AEW at this point, especially the whole shit with his brother and whatnot. But if he does go to AEW, I'm glad he had a run in TNA first. And he's made the most of it, and he's had a really good run there so far. So I've enjoyed it. So we're going to get going here in a second. Let me just run through the chat real quickly before we get on out of here. I know you guys are talking amongst yourselves here in the chat, which is awesome. I got to pull up the chat, so you just got to give me a second here. Thank you to all who have joined us, by the way. Let's see. Stephanie's Places is fine, Richie said, but the episodes are only 25 minutes, a bit too short for me. I feel like anything more than that would be too long. So 25 minutes is probably for the best. Owen Hart versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 10, and Austin and Hart, Mania 13, Fernando said. Owen and Bret kicked off Mania 10. That's the best opener in Mania history. We were talking second matches earlier. Daniel said, I don't think they acknowledge ECW as the world champion, LOL, because Matt Hardy and Christian won it. And on TV, they still said after the fact they were never world champions when WWE's brand died. Yeah, I guess they don't acknowledge it. I mean, I think officially, like in record books, they're world champions. I mean, maybe they meant WWE world champions. Because honestly, like, if someone came over from AEW, they're not going to acknowledge that. I know ECW was under their watch, and WCW as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Maybe they don't acknowledge it. You got a good point there. Noob said the match between Asuka and Charlotte at Mania 34, but the IWC just can't let it go 7 years later, and they still haven't let it go because it was a Vince McMahon decision. Yeah, Charlotte winning was stupid, but the match was great. Mr. Marceau making a last-minute run in here, saying GSM, Daniel acknowledging RJ. Mr. Marceau, great to see you here in the chat, but we are winding down here in a moment. Fernando said, agreed, Spike is no Hall of Famer. The Dudleys, they weren't the Freebirds. I agree. Daniel said, speaking of the Spike thing, I never understood why they included X-Pac when the NWO got inducted to the Hall of Fame. Should have just been the OG3, and if there was a fourth, Bischoff. Yeah, X-Pac getting included was stupid. He was in the fucking DX induction the month before. X-Pac being like a two-time Hall of Famer at this point makes no sense. And I like X-Pac a lot. Sean Waltman is great. But being a two-time Hall of Famer was kind of ridiculous. May is staying, Britt is gone. And I know Mr. Marceau agrees. He wants to see Mariah May in WWE. He said yes to Mariah May in WWE. Fernando said 2008 as far as the better wrestling year. Yeah, no pun intended. I said about the Tessa Blanchard thing. And Noel also said in the chat, great to see you in the chat, Noel. I say Noel, like their name's not Noel. No L period, like Noah Laura is their name. Anyway, you said Charlotte thinks that she's the golden child, but she isn't scared of Tiffany stealing her spot. Yeah, I mean, is she scared of Tiffany stealing her spot? We don't know. I mean, I could get that impression. I could totally see that vibe. She does think that she's the golden child. I would agree with that. Is she scared of Tiffany? Is she threatened a little bit? I could see that because there's a lot of great women that are at this point probably better overall performers than Charlotte is. So I could see her being threatened by a Rhea or a Bianca or especially a Tiffany who kind of fits the bill of being the next blonde. You know what I mean? To put it bluntly, I mean, she might see a lot of herself in Tiffany. There's a lot of, similarities there. And she might indeed be a little bit threatened. She might not say that, obviously not, but realistically speaking, I think anyone would be. So it's really not all that, tough to say. It's not all that unrealistic to say that she would probably think that way. So anyway, guys, we're going to get on out of here. Thank you so much for watching the show. Everyone that joined in and chatted in, I appreciate it so much. Thank you again to our new channel members. I will give you a shout out at the beginning and end of every live stream that we do. We have Alexis, of course, Dillon, thank you to the two of you for becoming members and unlocking the all-access pass here on the channel. And John Ritland, who I mentioned earlier, thank you to him for becoming the first channel member in WrestleRant history. You can check out his channel, Real Honesty with John Ritland. He was here in the chat earlier. Check him out on Twitter as well, at Reborn Again. He does great work here on the YouTube machine. So that's going to about do it for me, guys. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. Be sure to include your question on the wall, if not. Or in the comment section down below on this very video, I'll include your question in next week's edition. So, yeah, be sure to join us for the next episode of hashtag AskGSM coming up here on Tuesday next week on the channel. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell button, be notified every single time we upload a new video and every single time we go live. Join me tomorrow for hashtag GSM for GM WWE 2K25 My GM Mode. Going live sometime tomorrow, Wednesday, that being, I'm talking about around noon Eastern, so keep an eye out for that. WrestleRant Radio on Thursday as well. Time still to be determined, but going live on Thursday. Join us for that. Alexis should be joining us as well, so keep an ear and an eye out for WrestleRant Radio on Thursday. Next week, we'll play it by ear with, I'm leaving for Vegas, so WrestleRant Radio is to be determined as far as what time and day and whatnot, but hashtag should be the same time. WrestleRant Radio, or rather hashtag, should be the same time next Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. Richie said, later, Graham, later, chat, W stream. Thank you, Richie. Always great seeing you. Daniel said, be on the lookout for a Tyreek run-in. I will, Daniel. I will. I will fucking stop this stream. If Tyreek shows up, I have the outro. I will stop the outro and come back here. I will do a post-credit scene. If Tyreek does a pop-in this time I will say something. RJ saying, boo Alexis, she ruined the turn for me. He will never let that go. We will all watch for Tyreek. And last thing I will mention, as I mentioned before, channel members, I shouted out Alexis, Dillon, and John Ritland. If you want to become a channel member and get members-only live streams and watch-alongs, topic debates, early access and ad-free to videos, exclusive Discord access, which I will unlock for the members soon, so keep an eye out for that. Emojis in the chat. You get a little badge next to your name in the comments in the live chat and on the actual videos if you drop a comment on the videos. What else? Top billing on hashtag AskGSM if you want your question answered before anyone else. And on WrestleRant Radio, you can have your topic discussed before anyone else's. Be sure to become a member, $5 a month. I would appreciate the support, but if you simply would just want to subscribe and like this video, that also works alone. So thank you guys so much. Have an awesome one. Going to wind this thing down. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, folks. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. I'll catch your ass down the road.